This week's episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob is not brought to you by anything made before 1990. Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighborhood film snob, and it's been a few weeks, but we're back. Apologies, I had some teeth removed, wisdom teeth, not just random teeth. That'd be a bit weird. And then last week we were doing all sorts of party prep for my daughter. She's turning 3 tomorrow at the time of this recording, so between getting teeth pulled out, not being able to talk, and having a toddler running around, there wasn't a lot of time to produce content. So apologies, dear listeners, that there's been a break, but I am back now. And because there's been an absence, I want to do a special show. I want to bring the loaded guns. Is that what they say? I don't know what they say. I want to bring the big guns. That's probably what I meant to say. I'm getting caught in my own words already. And so today's guest is a first-time guest on the show. We've had a few new guests recently, and I'm continuing that. We will get back to the apocalypse. I'll be honest, it's been the most tentative topic we've done so far. It's been kind of either people have been really digging it or they've not wanted to contribute at all, and that's totally fine. But until then, as I said, new guest today. And honestly, if you thought my mum was the hardest to get guest of all time, today's guest might give her a run for her money. Let me tell you a little story and then I'll introduce her. So I've known today's guest for over 10 years. We actually first started working together, I want to say 2009. So actually almost a decade and a half at this point. And we were slinging burgers in the drive-through together, and we worked in the cafe and stuff like that. And I don't know, I'd say we were relatively friendly. We weren't besties or anything like that, but we, were on good speaking terms. Never knew that we liked movies. We never talked about movies at work for some reason, but we were pretty chummy, I would say. And then not long after kind of getting to know each other, being friends, I moved away. I only worked in that place for maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I did not like working that job very much. And as things often go in life, when you leave your job, you tend not to stay in contact. At least I don't. I'm really bad with keeping friends. I can make friends easily. Keeping friends, just don't make the effort. Unfortunately, all of my effort goes into watching movies and recording podcasts, which has worked out thus far. But yes, I didn't keep in touch. It wasn't like we had a fight or stopped being friends. We just drifted apart as people do. And then about 3 years ago, I would say in the middle of the pandemic, maybe a little bit early, we kept in touch on Facebook from time to time. And then I think at one point she followed me on Instagram. And during the pandemic, she would just start commenting on posts because before I had a podcast, or at least before I had this podcast, I would post about movies and do reviews and stuff on my own personal one, like the snob that I was. And thankfully, she didn't think it was snobby. She would actually just reach out and be like, "Hey, like that's a cool movie. Like, what else can you recommend? Have you seen this, or whatever?" And we kind of reconnected during the pandemic. And I think it was actually after my daughter was born, because I remember once Zoe was born, I would be up very late at night every night on the dad shift. So from 8 p.m. till 3 a.m., I would just watch my daughter. But she didn't actually need that much watching. Spoiler alert: before you become a parent, you think the kids need a lot of supervision. They don't. Like when they're like little babies, they don't need a lot of supervision. So I could just have the monitor in the corner of my eye and just watch movies all night. It was great. But today's guest would message me, and then she would send me trailers, and then she eventually would ask me for recommendations. And she's like, "Look, I really like horror, but I've seen a lot. What can you recommend?" So of course I recommended the one horror film I recommend every horror fan, and that was Eden Lake. And the next day she was like, "I watched it. I loved it. That's amazing. What else you got?" And I didn't have a project at this point. It was the pandemic. I was working. I had a baby. I wasn't really doing anything social. So I was like, "Oh, I'll write you a list. Maybe like kind of 10, 20 movies." It was a 50-page list. I was very bored. um, and I emailed it off to her with a bunch of horror films. And then just over time, we started, talking more and more. And I would say have become better friends in the last couple of years than we ever were when we worked at that world famous burger joint that I won't name. Um, and I lost my train of thought. This was going to be a killer intro, and then I just lost it. But we started talking about movies, and actually, I mentioned to her because I can't give her full credit for the podcast. I was already having thoughts and conversations with my wife about starting a podcast again, but talking to today's guest, I was like, I'm really getting in the mood to podcast again. If you know, don't know if you know this, but I used to have a podcast. I used to love talking to people about movies, and I really would like to do this again. And talking to you throughout the pandemic has really kind of whet my appetite again. You should come on the show." And she said, "No." It was very funny. She enjoyed talking to me online, but didn't really want to go on a podcast for her own personal reasons. That was totally fine. But because of those conversations and because of a couple of different contributing factors, we are now, 59 episodes into a podcast that's going for a year. And whilst I said I can't give her full credit, but it is at least partially to blame on this week's guest. So please welcome, after that very long introduction in which I got lost in my own words, um, the wonderful Jessica Brown. Jess, welcome to the show.
Hi, James, and thank you for having me. That intro was awesome. You've made me feel very, very special. So
It was
thank
very
you.
long. I did say that I do long intros, and I freestyle them all. Whenever I write them, it becomes a mess. So I had to you could the
No, it was
audience kind of.
great. It took me back down memory lane to that good old McDonald's that we worked at, which, now I'm a vegan, so I despise the place. But I met you there.
Less than 30 seconds to mention veganism. No, just kidding.
I had to put that in there. I was like, he brought up McDonald's. I've got to mention the vegan
I
thing.
actually never mentioned them by name. I did everything not to mention the name, but
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
that's okay. You don't have to apologize.
let's call it that burger joint then. But yeah, no, that's right. It was a good time. But yeah, I'm shattered that we didn't know that we enjoyed movies so much because I really don't think we would have got any work done. That's for sure. It would have been
I mean,
constant
did we
movie
get any
talk.
work done anyway? That's arguable. It was.
We probably would have been just fired on the spot. In other words, so yeah.
It's funny. I didn't know that you liked movies. I remember when you because again, it was all driven by you. Like me, talking about how I was keep to myself and I don't keep friends and stuff like that. That is very much a me personality thing. Like even when you started messaging me back in 2020, I was very monosyllabic with my response. I was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds cool." I just kind of didn't really engage
Yeah,
much. So
no,
you were really pushing it, but I'm glad you did. And then when I found you like me, I was like, "Oh my god! How did I not know this about you? How did I not know that you?"
I
Especially because you
remember that. Yeah, we both
you like
sort of.
horror films. I'm like, so few people in my current circle like horror movies. You would have thought I would have glued to that, but obviously I just never knew.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I was horror obsessed, but yeah, I stumbled across was your Instagram. So that I
mm,
wasn't on Facebook, was your Instagram page, and I remember just thinking, wow. So yeah, found the right page and got some great recommendations. And Eden Lake, that was an absolute rip art. That movie, loved it,
it's I'm
and
so glad that A, you loved it, but B, even when I had Tyler and Harley, the filmmakers, on last year, they are huge horror fans. They're making a horror film, and I was like, "Have you guys seen Eden Lake?" And they're like, "No." No one seems to have seen it, and
yeah,
it's such a gem of a horror film. So I
I know
always
it was.
recommend it.
I was really surprised when I did watch it that I'd never heard of it because it's brilliant and it's something now that you've mentioned it I could probably watch that again probably tomorrow.
It's
I
it's
loved it.
it's on my it'll be on my Halloween rewatch list. I reckon. I've been watching a lot of movies. I think I'm at 240 for the year now. Um,
Wow.
and October will be spooky season, so I've been pulling some. I'm getting ready. It's obviously still a month away, or a month and a bit away, but I'm starting to get ready. And I think Eden Lake will be part of that Halloween watch.
I actually
Uh,
should start keeping account of how many I watch. See, I just reacted to yours like wow, but I probably do go through that many movies a year, 100%.
I've been keeping track since 2016, I think. So since 2016,
Wow.
and I've still got all my lists saved in my phone. So each year I start a new note, and then once the note gets a bit long, I'll copy and paste the year into the previous year. So I've got
Well, I can imagine, like you said, that list that you sent me, that was amazing. I definitely haven't gotten through anywhere near half of that. There were so many movies. But yeah, so I can imagine what you've got going on your end.
it's funny, I actually did something similar earlier this year. My friend Samantha, who's been on the show a couple of times, once we started working closer together, and I knew she was a movie fan from pretty much day one that I met her, because she mentioned her top five favorite films, and one of them was Midsummer, and one was Get Out, and I was like, yes.
Oh,
Um,
Midsummer's a really long summer, is it? How do I say it? I'm saying it wrong.
Midsummer, yeah, I
Yeah,
recommended that one to you as well, and you're
you
like, I never would
did.
have watched that, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah, was it very long? That was the one though,
3 hours. Yeah,
Yeah, it was very long. It had some pretty sick shit in it.
yeah.
That was
Uh,
crazy.
but I bring her up because I did the same thing for her. I was like, I'll write you a list. And it wasn't as long as your list. And your list was very comprehensive because you're like, oh, my husband doesn't really like horror. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll put a little husband approval next to the movies that he can
Yeah,
watch
yeah, yeah.
and
I love
stuff
that.
like that. And I went to a lot of effort because it was I was bored.
No, it
Don't
was
get me
very
wrong.
well done. It
I
was
loved
very
my
well
job,
done.
and I loved being around my wife and my daughter, but I had 7 hours to myself each night, and after a while, even I was like, I'm watching a lot of TV. Maybe I need to do something creative. So like when you were like, I'd love a list, I was like, right, let me just
No, well, I got in
crack
at a
the
good
knuckles.
time because I got very lucky with that. Yeah, as for my poor husband, yeah, he puts up with some, yeah, poor thing, some horrible movies that he doesn't want to watch. But sometimes he just doesn't have a say. But he has gotten me into ones that I would normally never think to look at as well. Like I think I discussed this with you, Endgame or things like that. I've
All the
ventured
Marvel
out of my
stuff.
yeah, I've ventured out of my comfort zone. I'd normally, as soon as the TV goes on, I'm on Netflix or I'm looking at iTunes movies, and it's just I go straight to horror. But now I have been, open to more things. So he's getting lucky in that sense. But
One movie you need to watch. I rewatched it in the last couple of weeks when I was recovering. Um, if you haven't seen it, it's got a movie called Whiplash, made in
no,
2014,
I haven't
and
seen
it stars
it.
Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons, and it's by the guy who directed La La Land. I don't know if you've ever seen La La Land or heard of
No,
La La Land.
I haven't heard of that.
Hmm. So La La Land's a musical, but Whiplash is the guy's first movie. Damien Chazelle is his name, and it's all about a kid who joins music school. It's the best of the best school, and he wants to be the best drummer ever. It is a drama about music, but it is a goddamn
But it's
horror film. It is the best horror
yeah.
film that is not marketed as a horror movie. Like his
So
instructor is the
yeah.
best horror villain ever,
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't
and
it?
it's classy. So you
So
should
what's
watch
it
it
what's
because
it
your man
actually
will like it.
meant to be? Like, what's the genre of that movie? What are they classifying it as?
Oh, it's just a
Okay.
drama.
So it's a drama. Okay,
Yeah.
but it is you would say it's basically like a horror.
Look, if you're going in there looking for blood and guts and scares, then no. But what I'm saying is that the teacher, the antagonist, is such a villain, is so cruel and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
relentless that it like, and it's so like
No, that sounds
knuckle
good.
whiteningly tense. Like it's a real edge of your seat drama. Like you just feel like
Yeah, no.
you
That sounds like
panic
something
throughout it. So it's a
yeah,
really good flick.
that's what I'm after. Like, I don't really, when I say I love horror, I'm not that one that's all about those really corny ones where they're just lots of stabbings and killings and blood everywhere.
How dare you?
It's
Um,
more just, I like just to be, like you said, on the edge of my seat, wondering what's going to happen or that suspense. That's what I love about it. So, yes.
yeah, you have been my project for the last few years because, and it's been
I've racked
hard
your
work.
brain.
It's been hard work because when we first started talking, and even now, I haven't changed your opinion. It's taken 3 years, and I still haven't cracked it. You won't watch movies made before 1990.
I know.
um,
It's so, you know what? I don't know if I've told you this. I'm such a weirdo. And look, you'll have to forgive me if any of these on my list have got someone that's passed away. But I've got this weird thing where if someone in the movie, like Heath Ledger, for example, if they've died, I can't watch it. I just think
wow,
I feel like I'm like living in the past. I'm like, that person doesn't even exist
that's
anymore.
the
I can't.
weirdest thing I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
yeah, I know. It's so weird. But if I turn it on, like I can't. I'm just like they're literally they don't exist. I can't watch this movie. It's like it's
Oh, that might be the clip for this week. That's so weird.
how weird is that? So yeah, not only at like and yeah, if it's really old and dated, it just creeps me out. I'm like, nah, I can't do it. But yeah, if someone's dead, it's a no go.
So
Just
not
can't do
pre 1990, no dead
it.
actors,
No,
um, nothing black and white,
they, they can
and
only be
nothing
dead in the movie if they're murdered in the movie, but not in real life.
and nothing with subtitles. So
Yeah, no, yeah. Actually, subtitles, yeah, preferably no. Definitely not.
so interesting. So you're just limiting yourself from so many cool things, but that's
I
fine. We
know.
all do our own thing. Yeah,
Well,
I've
you
like
will appreciate some that I've got to talk about today because they are to me they're ancient, but to you they're not
I
that
know
old.
you messaged me like I've got some old movies from 1990. I was like, dude, that's not old. I was like,
Well, I
old
feel
is like
old,
before
so
then. I
when
mean,
I
look,
read,
go
sorry,
on.
go on.
No, you go.
Well, when I see that they were made in 1993, and I was like, wow, I was two. That is old, James. That is
Yeah,
old.
but like it was in color.
I'm no
It
spring
was.
chicken. But
Uh,
yeah, true. It was in. Do you remember? Sorry, I'm going off track here, but do
go
you
for it.
remember? Do you remember HR Puffin stuff? Have you ever
Yeah,
seen it?
with Witchy Poo. Yeah,
Witchy Brew.
he's a,
That was
he's the he's your
brilliant.
friend when things get rough.
Yes, HR. Oh, I'm not going to sing. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, that was brilliant. How old is that? Because that's probably the only one I could.
70s.
Yeah, wow, that's gross. That's creepy. But
How dare
yeah,
you?
no, that was quality. That's that. I wonder if they were on something when they made that because that is
Oh,
just
100%.
that
Sid and
is the
Marty Krofft,
weirdest.
They did Land of the Lost. They did Walls of Gummidge. They did all sorts of like weird, like puppetry oriented
Like,
children's
what
shows.
the
Yeah,
hell was HR Puff and Stuff? What
he's a
is that
dragon.
thing?
He's the good luck dragon.
I love how you're like, "Don't be silly, it's a dragon."
Yeah,
Like, duh.
for
I
sure.
wouldn't have had a clue, but I've always wanted to dress up as that if there was ever a dress up party that I could go to. It's always been HR Puff and Stuff. But anyway, that's
But
just a go.
well, you just I don't know if that's stranger than what you said before, but it's very strange. So if you
That
don't
would
like anything,
surely
and
be the best
we
choice.
we will start talking about your history with movies in a moment, your bizarre history with movies. But if you don't like anything pre-90s except for HR Puff and stuff, where do you sit on things like Willy Wonka or Wizard of Oz? Like, do you go back and watch them, or are they too old
Okay.
for you?
You've got me there because I forgot about those existing because they're so old, but
Mm.
they are brilliant. Wizard of Oz, I absolutely loved, and I still remember
And that's a
that
horror film. Oh my
that is
goodness.
brilliant. That is brilliant, and I remember that scene where Witchy Poo. What? No, that's she's out of HFF and stuff. The witch out of what did we just call it? Wizard of Oz. When
Yeah.
her shoes, remember when the house lands on her and her feet get the shoes crinkle up under the house?
Yeah.
Remember that scene?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Iconic. She got those
that
candy cane
was
tights on.
yes, the cat and the red shoes. I remember when I saw that and I was like, "Oh, this is creepy as," and I
Hmm.
loved it. And
Flying monkeys.
yeah, and that music, dun, 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 and when she's on her broomstick.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you're dropping great. That's a good needle drop to
yes,
grab.
that's a
S-
good one, isn't it? So yeah, that's brilliant. And Willy Wonka, now, man,
Another horror film.
that's just another one where I think they might have been on something to some extent because, like, what the hell was he doing in bed all the time? Like, that is just like he was always
The
he was
grossest
always
bit.
in he was always in bed, and that just cracked me up. But now
That's
they are
me, man. I relate to Grandpa Joe so much. I'm like, he just wants to chill out in bed all day and just eat snacks with his
no,
wife.
that's why.
I'm like, that's great.
As I've told you, I've got a pretty bad memory with storylines of movies. Like I will love them, but I'll forget exactly what they entirely are about. Why was he always in bed? Why? What was that
I think the
about?
idea was that they were so old. Um, no, like I'm not even kidding. Like it's been a long since I've read the book, and the book goes into a lot more detail. But from what I understand, the grandparents were so old and sickly that the parents, so Charlie Bucket's parents, had to basically look after them. And Charlie Bucket's dad, I can't remember what his job was, but his mum was like a she did like laundry and stuff like that. And so like both
Yeah.
his parents and his dad, so both his parents so but all of his grandparents lived in the same house. So like mum's parents and dad's parents lived in the same house, shared the same bed, and had the same
Oh,
names because it was Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine and Grandpa George and
oh,
Grandma
see,
Georgina.
I couldn't remember any of this. Yeah.
I
Wow.
have a knack for the unimportant stuff.
Well,
um,
that's cool. I only remember certain scenes out of it, like the little girl that was always being greedy and she ate that thing and didn't she like blow up or something? Like
Violet Beauregard
yeah,
by
and,
Gum It's
and then
Gum, and then she eats the gum, turns to a giant blueberry.
yes, and then like when they're oh, it's kind of gross. They're in that like air bubble. They've got a burp to come down from
The
that like
fizzy lifting drinks, yeah.
white. For some reason, they're like the two main things that I remember. I remember being like, oh my god, that's
And
disgusting.
Augustus Gloop getting caught in the chocolate pipe.
Yes, that's right. Oh
And
wow.
Veruca Salt getting
Oh,
she was a bad egg and she went down the egg chute.
well,
Um,
that's it. It's kind of it was sort of a bit like yeah. What would you say? What genre was that movie? If I'm using the right word. What?
you are well done. It
Thank
is.
you.
Listen to that snobbery's coming out. I'm just like, yes, well done. You used the
Genre.
right word. Congratulations.
Thank
Um,
you.
it's a kids film. It's like an adventure film, but it's definitely like the beauty of that's why I like old films, and that's why I'm like you're missing out because old films they don't care. They're just like let's just make it scary. Like even old Disney films. If you watch like Sleeping Beauty, I watched Sleeping Beauty for the first time, the animated one from the 50s, about five
Oh,
years ago,
you just remind me of something. Yeah,
and I
keep
was like,
going.
oh my god, like this is terrifying. Like it's so
Yes.
scary.
I don't think
Um,
I've seen that. I don't think I've seen it.
it's the only thing that doesn't hold up because it's the artwork is beautiful and the story is great and visually it's stunning, but um, the woman who voices Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, sounds like
Mm.
she's about 70 years old, and she's meant to be this young, beautiful princess,
That's
and she's got
hilarious.
a very deep voice. She's
Like
like,
she's been or
hello.
maybe she's been a smoker or something her whole life.
Yeah, yeah, she's been hitting 2 packs a day or something.
She needs to lay off the smokes. You know what you reminded me of though, and this I hope you've seen it because it's a classic, and you'll be proud of me for this because it is ancient. Snow White. I'm talking the original Snow White.
The
That's
very first Disney film.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Did you ever
Oh, I
watch
think I
it?
might have heard of that one once or twice. Yeah,
Oh, I loved that. So yeah, that's about, but look, could I watch them again anytime soon? Never. But
because they're
yes,
all
I love
dead. All the actresses and
it.
actors are dead, so
They'll
you
all
would.
be exactly. That's right. That just crosses them off the
So
list because
weird.
they're dead and it's past 1990. So it's
I
well and
never
truly.
knew that about you. Now that I like, so could you go back and watch Willy Wonka now?
No, I couldn't.
Because Willy
Like
Wonka's dead.
yeah, it's just
Did you
they've
know that
definitely.
Willy Wonka died a few years ago? That would
Well, I'd
break your heart.
assume so because going by how old that movie is, and he was an old guy in it. So
No, he was I think he's in his 30s in that movie. Like, but people look old back then.
oh,
So
true. He wasn't. No, I was actually picturing him far older than he was when he was in that movie, but I didn't know he died just recently. But I like
it was
I
in like in the last 5 6 years. I think Gene Wilder is a
mm,
wonderful actor.
like I assumed he was dead, but I didn't think it was recently. It's
You're
just
like, I'm not even going to look up. He's dead.
I'm not even going
Um,
to look it up because
so you can't
it already.
obviously watch. You can't watch Wizard of Oz then because they're all dead.
Well, I actually tried to tell my husband hasn't seen The Wizard of Oz, which blows my mind because
Mm.
I felt like it's just a movie everyone in the world has seen, but he has not seen it, and I would love him to see it. So that's about the only time I'd watch it if he would look at it. But he said I'm not watching that, so that goes that idea. So really, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, but when you have kids, you might.
Oh, look, if they're lucky, if they're not as if they don't have the problems that I have with old movies, then maybe. But we'll have to see.
Mm. Sorry, I thought my daughter woke up for a second.
No, that's all right.
I heard a
You need to go
noise.
and check on her.
No, because my wife's out there, but I don't know if she's singing. I don't know if she's talking to herself or whether my daughter woke up.
Oh, you can totally pause me if you need to.
Nah, I think it's okay because I can hear like because my wife's baking the birthday cake at the moment.
Oh, how
Um,
sweet.
so yeah, my wife's doing all the chores, and I'm like, I'm making a show.
I wish I
Um,
could do that. My
that's
poor kid, I'm gonna have to buy any cake for when I have a child because yeah, it would be a disaster if I made it. It would
oh my
be.
god, it's like I'm not even kidding. It's so easy. I was never a baker, and then like I wasn't a lockdown baker, but I would just like I think I had started baking less to do with it being locked down and more to do with well between 8 p.m. and 3 a.m. I've got nothing to do, so let's figure some stuff out.
Well,
Um,
why not?
and obviously this won't you won't be able to do this because it's not a vegan recipe. Um, 3 ingredient brownies, it's Nutella, flour, and eggs, and it's just like
Oh wow.
and you could cook it in the
Well,
microwave. It was just like whoa. Um,
yeah. Well, why not? And then you've got yeah, you can use it over the if you're making your own food as well, you get so much more out of it. I've got to stop wasting money on buying different meals every single day, pretty much. But anyway, I'll
but
learn one day.
yeah. So and like when you have again like when you have a kid, 'cause and I'm not saying like when you have a kid because you should because you're a woman. Like you and I were talking off off mic before. You were talking about your plans at some point you would like to have a child. So I'm
Yes.
not like just for people who are like why
No,
is he trying
no,
to just have
no.
children? Um, one thing I found is my daughter is obsessed with baking, and so like
That is good.
once I became the primary caregiver, I was like, well, we're going to bake every week pretty much. So we'll like make cakes and stuff. My background on my work computer is actually her holding up a cake that we made together. So
Well, it's an
uh,
awesome skill to have because, yeah, especially with a child, to be able to cook is going to come in and cook and bake will be very handy. So I should start practicing.
I think it's also good for her to see like a man, like not again, like
That
it's not
is
even
true. No, I understand
like
what you're saying.
like her
Mm,
dad contribute, like do the cooking and stuff like that, not just
that's
work and
it.
then come home on TV. So
Aren't you just a great dad? No, I agree completely. That's a good
pretty
attitude.
goddamn brilliant, but
Bloody brilliant. All right.
bloody brilliant, guys.
Bloody brilliant.
Well, look, we got very sidetracked very early on, but I love
We
it.
did. We're
I
talking
love
about baking now.
Shut up and talk about movies. You've been gone for 2 weeks and you bring Bake Off. We don't care. Um, that's fine. So I don't know this about you because even though we've been talking, I would say pretty much nonstop for the last 3 years. I wouldn't say every day, but I would say every week just about we talk.
Quite a bit. We've checked in here and there for
Yeah,
sure.
every now and then I'm just like leave
Hmm.
me alone.
Well, we
Just
have
kidding.
had a few. I feel like there's been some stints where we haven't spoken for a couple of
Oh,
weeks or
life
so.
happens. Life
Yeah,
happens, and
that's it. It's just I feel like okay, fine. You don't want to be friends, but no, I'm joking.
yeah, I was like, please
How
leave.
dare you have a
Um,
life, James? How
yeah.
dare you?
But one thing I don't know about you is where it all begins. So, like in terms of movies, have you been a lifelong movie fan? Is it something you kind of discovered? when you're a teenager or in your 20s, or like where does it all? Did someone show you
Um,
movies? Like how did it all begin for you?
Well, I would say lifelong. Like as a kid, naturally, it's just something I enjoyed doing. And I think before movies, it was more I would get home, from whatever I was doing, school, kinder, whatever. I'm not good at remembering what age I would have been, but I would love to get home and put cartoons on. And that sort of then went from cartoons into movies. But I used to love. There was a show on ABC. I think that's what I was watching, and it was like about spooky and scary tales. It was like a really short
Are you afraid
segment.
of the dark?
Yeah, it could have been something. Is that what you're saying? It could have been called. You're not
Yeah,
asking
yeah.
that.
No, I wasn't asking if you were afraid of the dark.
Well, I was like, before I go down the wrong path here, that could be what it was called.
You're like,
And it
how
was
dare you? I was in my
a
30s. Like,
change.
yes, I'm afraid of the dark.
Really don't want to have to tell the public this, but yes.
Yes,
No.
it's scary. Why don't just leave the lights on? It's not that difficult.
Yeah, we have to sleep with a
We
lamp
have
on all night.
electricity now. It's not like it's just fire, guys. We can leave the lights on.
That's it. No, so I can't be sure what it was called, but it was, yeah, like I'm a 90s kid, so it was whatever was on then if you did watch ABC. And so that sort of got me hooked on that, suspenseful, I just loved the creepy tales.
Mm.
Anyway, so I used to watch a
You
lot
are
of
a big horror person. I think I did say at the
um,
start that that's kind of what we wanted, but like whenever we talk about movies, 90% of the time it is horror driven. It's very
it
rare
is.
for you to kind of stray outside. I mean, I know you mentioned like,
That's
oh,
it.
my husband's showing me Marvel and stuff, but you don't really stray out of horror, which is not a bad thing.
It's
But I
one
am
extreme
working
to
on
the other.
changing it.
Well, yeah, I know. I wish you luck, but look, I have like if it's not a horror, I want a really good comedy sort of thing. So one extreme to the other. But yeah, so
Comedy is
basically,
difficult. Sorry to interrupt
yeah,
you,
no,
but it
no,
is my
go on.
show. No, it's okay.
I know. I could talk underwater, guys. I do apologize. I
The
need to shut
problem
up.
I have, the problem with comedy, I think comedy and horror are on the same spectrum. Like they are,
Mhm.
you're right, they are polar opposites, but they elicit the same response. And the difference is, I think horror works really well whether you're in an audience or by yourself. But I find comedy really struggles to work unless you're in an audience. I find that like, unless it's really funny, I probably won't laugh if I'm watching it alone. And I might like the film, but I don't know. Do you find you
Actually,
laugh out loud a lot
yeah,
on
that's
your own,
actually
or
very true. No, that makes sense because yeah, I've experienced that. If I've watched something on my own, I won't laugh. But if I'm with my husband, we'll both have a bit of a laugh. Like, yeah, 100%. I
but
know what you
there are a couple of exceptions. Like I'm not saying like it's impossible, but I do find
mean.
like, especially as I
You
get
sort of do,
older.
yeah, you bounce off someone else when they might find it a bit funny. It
Mm.
does help. No, 100%.
Anyway, you were talking, but I interrupted you because I wanted to sound very smart and make my point
No,
about
you
comedy. So
need trust me, you need to interrupt me. But yeah, so basically went from that and then I discovered, whatever age it was, that the video shop and I was very lucky. My
yes.
parents would spoil me with going to the video shop. So that was like going to heaven. That was one of my favorite things to do, to
Do you
walk
still
inside.
remember where your video store was?
Yes, it was in Gisborne and it was it called
That's right. You grew up in the country. For
Yeah,
those
yeah.
listening outside of Victoria or Australia, because we have
Mhm.
international listeners, yeah, Gisborne. I'm very familiar with Gisborne because
Yes.
when I was a teenager, my dad actually was the caterer at the golf club in Gisborne. So
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Well, there you go.
yeah, so
Mm.
so I was up there every weekend just about, and
Do you know where that video shop was? Do you remember? It's not there. Obviously, it's not there anymore. But do you
so
remember where?
disappointing. I
I know.
don't think I went to. I wouldn't have gone. Oh no, I did
You
because
went there?
I would bring my PlayStation up to because I didn't because we would bring us up to work, but we didn't work. We just sat in the
What a
back for
small
7 hours.
world.
So I
I
would bring the
can't believe
PlayStation
that.
up, and then I'd rent DVDs and watch them in the back. It was the first time. Actually, I can tell you the first time I watched Batman Forever was at Gisborne Golf Club, renting from the local video store.
That's insane. What a small world. Here we are thinking we met at McDonald's when, for all I know, you could have been standing in that video shop while I was standing in that video shop as well. Now
Possibly.
that's crazy. Well, yeah, like I grew up in Mount Macedon, so that was like the local town to go to for a long time to get videos, and
Mm.
then I think eventually. Yeah, no, Woodend was another one, but no, Gisborne was the very main one. And yeah, so I would go there and yeah, just go, it was like I said, it was amazing. And nothing beats that. I know it's so great having things
It's true.
online right at your fingertips, but to go to the video shop and be able to look at the covers and it was just so exciting. So
And it's going to
it's
like a
fun.
JB Hi-Fi is not the same thing.
No, it's not, is it?
It's
It's
not
really
the
not.
same thing. It should be in theory, it should be because you're doing the same. Actually, and I don't even go to JB that
The
much
whole
anymore.
vibe's different, isn't it? It's because it's
Yeah,
so modern and like they're not just on their stock shelves everywhere. The video shop was only for videos, and
it was every shelf was packed, and there was only one copy of everything unless it was a new release. And like, especially, and again, like those movies that you hate that came out before the '90s had the best artwork. So
Mhm.
like, I remember, and I worked in a video store. My first job ever was in a video store, and I actually
I
worked
always
in two.
wanted to work at one. That would have been awesome.
It was the best job ever. I worked in two video stores, and I
Mhm.
would just sit in the horror section and just like look at the Nightmare on Elm Street covers because they were, and the Friday the
Yeah.
13th covers because they were the best VHS covers you could get. Like the hockey mask, obviously for Jason, and then like all the cool like kind of dissected eyeball and brain drawings of Freddy Krueger was so
Yeah,
cool.
wow. What
Mm.
what years are they? Because I did watch a Freddy versus no, yeah,
Freddy
Freddy
vs
versus.
Jason is 2003.
Yeah, I
Um,
was going to say that's not that. Yeah, yeah.
but most of their movies were started in the 80s. They were
Started
both
in
created in
yeah.
the 80s.
The Freddy
Um,
Krueger one was very old. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Jason
yeah.
is 1980, although technically Jason isn't in the first one. Spoiler alert for a 40-year-old movie. But Jason isn't in the first Friday the 13th until the very end. It's his mum. Double spoiler alert. Um,
Right.
and Nightmare on Elm Street, I want to say is 82. No, 84, I think
You're
it is.
so good at the. I wouldn't have a clue off the top of my head what year any movie was released. So
This is all
you're
I do, man. Like, you know, I don't remember anything else important. Like, it's just this. And this isn't even
yeah,
important.
no, but you are right there. Like going into the video shop was something else. You can't. There's nothing that compares to it anymore. But
Yep.
yeah, no. So basically, what do you want to hear? What kind of movies I was into when I was going to that
Oh,
video?
this is your barbecue, man. So like,
Well,
so you obviously, well, I'll guide it for. I'll help you a little bit if you like.
yeah. Help me
Um,
out here, James. You're
yeah,
leaving me
what a
hanging.
terrible host. Just
You
drop
know
in the
how
slack.
nervous I am. I'm sitting here
I wasn't
trembling.
going to say anything until the end about you being nervous, but you made that comment yourself.
I'm just putting
Um,
that out there, everyone.
I'll be
Very
honest.
nervous.
People listening are like, yeah, okay, she's nervous. She hasn't shut up since she started. Like,
That's part of the nervousness. Yeah,
I can
true.
say that because we're pals.
You
Um,
can. I'll tell you
uh,
off later.
yeah, exactly. You'll message me, hey, I'm out of here.
Really didn't
Um,
appreciate that, James.
So the video store, was that driven by your mom or your dad? Like, who was the one who was like, "Hey, Jess, let's go to the movies. Let's go to the video store. Let's get
So,
some movies."
like, look, they would both do it, but it was always dad. Like, I feel like I would go up more often with dad, and
Yeah,
like being
I
like
think it's a real dad thing because my
he
dad was the
is,
same. Yeah,
and he is a legend. My dad, he's one of my best friends. So is my mum. They're amazing. But you know what? So I'm so glad they were a little bit like it's hilarious the things they would let me rent from that video shop. Like your average parent, there is no way they would let you do it. Like they'd be like, no, you. But Dad would be like, oh, yep, okay. What'd you get? And I'd be like, oh, I just got Chucky, And I'd be
mm.
like this tiny little young kid, Chucky. I don't know what the first one. That would have been 19. What?
It's
Help me out.
1990.
Yeah. So I was watching
I'm
that by
pretty sure. Like this point, because I'm not the biggest Chucky fan, so I'm sure there's a Chucky fan listening. Be like, "Hey, idiot! It was
well,
1991."
no,
But I think it
yeah.
was 1990.
So I used to get things like Chucky, and you know what? Oh, you know what? Chucky is that had quite a lot of humor to it. That's actually quite funny. He
Yeah.
cracks a lot in it, and I used to understand that humor as a young kid, which I'm surprised about. But I used to find it hilarious. I used to crack up to Chucky.
Did you
But
watch the recent remake, the one that came out a couple of years ago?
I think I watched bits of it, if it is the one I'm thinking of,
And
and
he was
I
like
find
high
them
tech.
terrible.
He was like high tech, and he could like connect to things with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and stuff.
I didn't know that. No, I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
No, I was bagging something that I haven't seen. There was actually a TV series of Chucky as well that was
Mm.
on Nine now for a little while, and that was actually cool. But
I think they're
yeah,
still going. I think they're up to season 3. I think it's still going.
he is. I need to check that out. But another one that I've got here on my list that was from the video shop, Stephen King's It.
So I
Now,
didn't see that one until I was in my 20s. But I
ooh,
know my
James, that actually shocks me.
well, you have to understand, whilst your parents were free-loving hippies who would let you watch whatever you wanted,
I know, right?
my parents were very strict. I didn't watch a horror film until I was in my teens, and I was so terrified to watch it. And like, it wasn't even scary. The first thing I ever watched was The Faculty, which is a wonderful film from the '90s. But
I haven't seen that.
oh, it's really cool. Directed by Robert Rodriguez, who did Machete and Once Upon a Time in Mexico and Spy Kids, and
No,
Sin
you, I
City.
think,
I just go
yeah.
through all his movies. Um, but yeah, I just wasn't. I was very sheltered. I wasn't allowed to watch anything with violence or swearing. So I didn't really
But
watch action films or
that's
horror
good
films.
parenting as well. And I'm not saying my parents weren't
Oh no,
weren't
like I mean, look,
but
like I
I used to
understand.
get away with all of those choices, and I look back now and I'm like, "Wow, would I let my kid watch that? Maybe, maybe not."
I understand where they're coming from, but I would also argue that my obsession with violence and cursing has come from not being allowed to be exposed to it as a young child. So,
Oh
um,
god.
like
You
my
can
decision now, it's funny you talk about would you let your child look at, like I have conversations with my wife regularly. I'm like, look, I'm not saying she needs to start watching, Scream tomorrow, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm probably gonna let her watch stuff before before she's ready. Like I'm
Well,
gonna
and you
expose
know
her to
what?
horror stuff. Yeah.
This day and age, I feel like kids are watching that kind of stuff earlier as well. But back
Mm.
when I was watching it, it was sort of unheard of. Like if I went to school,
Oh
I
no,
wouldn't
not at
be
all. Everyone I went to school with, I was the odd one out.
oh,
Everyone was
so
doing
they
it.
were all so maybe yeah, well, it was the opposite for me. That no, everyone would be like, "Oh no, I
You and I
can't
got
watch."
enrolled at the wrong schools. I was meant to go to your school,
You were meant to come
and
to
you had to
mine,
go
and
to
I
my
would
school with all the cool
yeah, I would
kids.
have had a ball there. I definitely wouldn't have learnt a thing. Not that I probably learnt a whole lot anyway, but that would have been it just would have been all about horror movies. That would have been amazing. But
Um,
yes.
nice one. And so, do you like? I'm trying to think how to phrase it. I don't know if I talked about it in the show yet. I was working on a project which I kind of abandoned for the time being, but I was talking about like the gift of film. And this is very wanky, so I apologize because it's going to get a bit pretentious now. But like, I
No.
talk about film being a gift, and what I mean by it is, when I was a child, my dad would show me movies, and I was like, and I wouldn't necessarily get it straight away,
Mhm.
but over time it would mean more and more to me. And I found out, like I was like, so for example, my dad showed me a movie called The Blues Brothers from the 80s. You'll hate it because from the 80s.
Mhm. Of
Yeah, I'm
course.
gonna ring that bell every single time. I'm not
Is
gonna
anyone
stop.
in it is anyone did anyone die in it? Because then
Yeah, yeah. The lead
oh,
actor's
then
been like the lead actor died of a drug overdose, in the
yeah.
80s. But he kind of gave that to me as a gift. He was like, "Hey, you should watch this. I really like it. I think you'll like it as well." And it's the idea of kind of like gifting a piece of your personality. Um,
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a nice
and I
way to
was,
look.
and so I guess so. Like whenever it happens, like that's why I get so obsessed with writing lists for people and curating and recommending things. I'm like, what a cool little personal gift to be like, "Hey, I had nothing to do with this, but I dug it, and knowing you, I think you'll dig it too." So I
Mm.
guess this is a long way of asking, like, do you have anything like that? Was there anyone kind of anything
But
that in your family where your dad was like, "Hey, you need to check this out"? I know
so
it doesn't seem like your
basically
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So
Yeah,
basically, did anyone influence a certain movie or a certain is
yeah,
that
that's a less wanky way to ask it. Yeah,
no,
go
no,
for
like,
that.
that sounded really rude by me. I'm like, so
No, no,
just some
I'm
no,
kidding.
no.
It's all good.
The reason I ask that way is because my brain it can be very easily confused.
It's
No,
also quite late. People should understand, like we started late, or later than
yeah,
planned, and we
you need
talked
to
for
give
about
me a
half an hour
break
before we
here.
recorded. So
And I'm like a small child or a baby that needs to be put to sleep by like 7:30. So my brain's working overtime right now. But no, 100%. And I was actually hoping that I did get to discuss that because so that you've asked a perfect question. My
it's my
uncle
job.
my uncle got me into like so when I say into horror movies, I already loved them as a kid naturally, but then he really drove that like he was the one that actually went took me to the video shop and I think yeah it was Stephen King's It that he got took
You
home and there
mentioned
was
that, and we got away from a good work. You brought it back. Well done.
no, yeah, and that so he it was that one that he introduced me to, and there was something else, and I remember yeah, so he knew how much I loved them, so he would always whenever I'd spend a night at my uncle's and aunties, he would take me to the video shop, and yeah, I'd go straight to the horror section. So yeah, he did play a big influence in keeping that sort of love for horror going because he'd always buy me little like for my birthday witchy poo things like scary gifts so but yeah and also the other person that well not so much influence I suppose but I watched a lot of movies with my cousin so
Mhm.
and he was right into the Freddy and Jason kind of movies which I actually saw at the cinemas with him the 2003 one did you say is
Yeah,
that
Freddy
the
vs. Jason.
yeah, Freddie vs. Jason.
Mm.
So yeah, they were two people. Obviously, Dad would watch. Dad used to love Chucky with me, so they're probably the three main people: my
Mm.
uncle, my dad, and my cousin. So yeah, but I can't really say influenced, but had a big part of watching
Mm.
movies with me as in my childhood. So yeah, and
Nice
Dad
one.
still will. So yeah,
Yeah, no, I've texted you like during the day before. You're like, I'm just watching a movie with my dad. I was
yeah,
watching a
he's
horror
such
film
a
with my dad.
legend. He's
Um,
so cute, and he does love horrors, but he'll be like, why don't you put something on? And he'll just the poor thing, he's probably just pretending, but he'll watch whatever I put on.
So this is a question I very rarely get to ask unless it's Halloween normally, because as I said, most of my listeners, sorry, most of my guests don't like horror. Not that they don't like horror, but it's not their forte.
Not a,
What
yeah.
is it about horror for you? Like, what attracted you to it, and what keeps you going back to horror?
Well, that's a good question because I'm glad you asked that as well because I don't want people to think, "Whoa, does she just love blood and gore?" And it's not
Hey,
that at
that's
all.
by the way, that's a perfectly acceptable answer. Like, if people like seeing like
Oh well, true. I'm not
naked
bagging people for
teenagers
like,
in sex
yeah,
comedies, or seeing fast cars do flips in Fast and the Furious movies, or superheroes punching each other, why is blood and guts not an acceptable answer? So it is an
that's true.
acceptable answer.
That is true, but that is not like that's not my thing. It's more just I love that I actually love that feeling of being scared watching a
Mm,
movie. Like I love that. And that's what annoys me so much with today. I can't seem to find. Well, there is a movie that I will speak about that did it to me, but s- not many will do that for me lately. So I'm struggling to find one where I'm really actually like shitting myself watching it. But that's what I enjoy the most about them. The suspense, wondering what's going to happen. Are they under the bed? Are they in the cupboard? Do you know what I mean? Like that.
mm. Sorry, I'm smiling. I'm starting to laugh, and they wouldn't be able to hear. But the reason is, I posted about watching It Chapter One recently, and you sent me a message, and I feel like it was just two words, which was just not scary. And I was like,
No,
well,
that's actually hilarious. I did too, and you. I think yeah,
I got a little bit defensive. I was like, well, actually, if you think
yeah,
about it,
yeah.
there are some quite scary moments in it.
Yeah, I need to word things. I just blurted it out. I was like, yeah, not because I think you said it was another spooky one. And I was like, James, no, it's not. But then I've got to remember everyone is different, and there might not be a psycho like me with my movies.
Well,
But
the thing is, yes, like you're from what I understand, you're very desensitized, and you want things that are going to terrify.
yes,
And maybe you'll get. I don't know whether it'll take. I don't know whether it's becoming a parent that changed me, or whether it's just now that I'm middle aged. Because I learned that this year. I'm middle aged now. Um,
no, I'm joining
is
that club. I think I am
I
too.
was really scared of horror films as a teenager, and then over time I became kind of desensitized, and I wasn't scared, and I wasn't scared, and I wasn't scared, and now things are starting to scare me again.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
not necessarily like, oh, I can't watch it with the lights out. There are definitely some, or
Yep.
like, or there are others like Evil Dead Rise, which I thought was going to be terrifying, and it actually was a
Yeah,
lot
that's I haven't
tamer than
seen that yet.
like. It's cool, like it's a great movie, and there's a lot of
Do you
fun in it.
think
But it
I'll like
just,
it?
if you're looking to get scared, probably not.
No,
Um,
perfect answer. I didn't think so.
but it's still cool and still definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
But then like I'm also finding other things scary now. So like I'm trying to think. Well, like okay, well like using it as an example because I agree. Oh, that's okay. We have a guest walking through the room. You taking my pillows away? Oh, of course, absolutely. Do you want a hand doing that? This is riveting podcasting. Um, I've already talked about the fact that it's Zoe's birthday tomorrow. My wife is getting wrapping paper to wrap presents.
I know you're amazing.
And as I said before, she's doing the jobs and I'm hosting a show. Um, anyway, so sorry. Uh, whilst I agree with you, it's not super jump scary or suspenseful by my standards. I think
Is
part
this
two
is
actually.
this Evil? This is Evil Dead Rise you're talking about?
No, it. Yeah,
It's,
I'm jumping
oh
back to
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, we went back
Yeah,
to it.
no,
Yep,
that's okay. I think it part two has some decent jump scares, especially the old woman in the
that's right.
house.
Because that's the one that I was saying wasn't spooky, but I do get what you mean. It's got some pretty eerie bits in it.
But the first whilst it doesn't make me jump or anything like that. I think it does have some creepy moments. Like the whole opening scene with Georgie is terrifying. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
terrifying as
And
a
it's
parent, and terrifying just because I never thought I'd watch a movie where a monster bites a child's arm off.
that is
Um,
true. So that is yeah, that is quite disturbing. I know what you mean. Like yeah, and that's the thing. Some movies, it's hard to the word scary can it really it works in a lot of ways, if that makes sense. A lot of
mm.
can
and
cover
I
different.
went through what you're going through now, and I went through for a long time. It was a part of my snobbiness, and I'm not saying you're a snob, but like for me, I was just like, "Pfft, not scary, Pfft, not scary.
Yeah,
Why'd you
no, I
scare me?"
think I am being like that.
Um, and then like it just took watching different kinds of films and expose myself to more things, and then just kind of like reading deeper into them. I was like, oh, okay, so it didn't make me jump and it didn't make me have nightmares, but that is
Yeah.
scary. Like they're
No,
yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah, you've got to sort of just. I've got to stop going into them looking really hard for a certain vibe off it, and then I'll probably enjoy them more. You know what I mean?
I
I am
think.
being.
Sorry, Jess. I think you're touching your microphone.
Oh, did
Just
I?
there's a bit of like
Oh,
scraping in the background. So
did you hear
I'm
me?
not. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Is it
There's
better
just like
now?
a.
I actually
This is
did
what it
touch
sounded. It
it.
was like for a
Yeah,
few seconds.
I don't know. I just repositioned the laptop on my lap, and I
That'll be it.
touched. That's why. So I do apologize
Oh,
if
it's
that
on your
happens.
lap. You're not at a
Yeah, well, it
desk or
was.
anything.
No, I just really made myself look unprofessional then. I mean, no, I just straightened it up on the desk that I'm sitting at.
Oh, whenever I record a show with my wife, we record it in bed. Don't stress. Like it's
Oh,
all
thank
good.
God. Yeah, I was actually going to sit up at the table and I was like, no, because I was, as you know, very nervous. I was like, no, no, you need to get into the zone, sit, relax on a couch. Yes. So
Yeah.
that's what we did.
Um,
Alrighty.
excellent. I think we should jump into your list. I think we should
Oh,
start
wow.
talking about your movies. So
Oh my
you
God, I'm
brought.
so excited.
Now I did see your list. I can't remember anything on them. I mean, if I think about it really hard, I probably will remember. But I'm going to try and keep myself detached until we start talking about them. You
Yeah,
brought
good.
five movies, from what I understand, and I think most of them are horror. I didn't ask you for your top five horror. I don't think did I ask you for horror films. I just ask you for your top five favorites,
No, just top five favorites.
but they're all pretty much horror, which
Pretty
is
much.
good.
Well, look, you'll be surprised. There are ones in there that like they're not horror, but they're meant to be kind of on the creepy side, but they're definitely not, all horror. But
Not
anyway,
horror
I
by
try
your
and
standards.
I put a random one in there that's totally different from them all, which you'll be proud of. So
Excellent.
yes.
And
Would you like
did
me
you have
to?
any honorable mentions, or is it just the five we've got to talk about?
What do you mean by that? Sorry, James. Remember, it's me, my little brain.
So obviously you've got your top five, but were there any other movies where you're like, hey, they almost made the list, but they were not quite a top five one, and I wanted to
Oh,
mention them as
yes,
well?
they did. Which one was it? So Beetlejuice was one of them that was
Great
I
movie.
actually
That's come up a
put.
lot on this show,
Yeah,
especially when we did our 80s focus. Another movie before the 90s that you
that
like.
was great. I did like that a lot. What else? And Truth or Dare was another one that I
Oh,
absolutely
what a great
loved.
film.
That was
No,
good,
I don't
wasn't
know
it?
anyone who's seen Truth or Dare, but it's such a wonderful little
Really?
movie.
See, that
Yeah.
blows my mind. That to me was like I thought that was a huge hit. But you know
No,
what?
no.
That that's there's another one that I don't even think you've seen it because I think I suggested it once to you and you hadn't, and I don't think you ever got around to checking it out. Was the Countdown movie, which gives me the same
No,
vibe.
I haven't seen that one.
That's really good, and that gives me the same vibe as like Truth or Dare. It's actually very similar in a way.
I
So
want to jump
you
back
would
to
like
truth. I
that.
want to jump back to Truth or Dare because it's you can't get it in Australia. I don't think you could ever get it in Australia on physical.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, it was such a limited release. Um, but if I remember correctly, it's Jeffrey Combs who plays like a guy, like he's kind of like a billionaire who's doing like a games night. They're gonna play a game of Truth or Dare, and it starts out quite innocent, and then like it has like deadly consequences. Jeffrey
Yes.
Combs, for those listening, was he was the reanimator. So there's a movie in the 80s called Reanimator. It was about a guy who found a way to kind of bring people back to life, but they were kind of like zombies. It's a really fun zombie film. Um, so Jeffrey Combs played the host, and I think I'm trying to think who was in it. I think June Squibb might be in it, which is really weird because she's not a horror actress at all, and she's an old lady. But I think she was in it, and I think Sasha Grey, the adult film star, was in it. And I'm trying to think who else was in it. Brittany Snow, I think, who was recently in X. I think Brittany Snow was in, if I remember correctly as well. But it's a really fun film. Had me at the edge of my seat, very like nail biting, nerve wracking when I watched it.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm
it's
glad.
not, are you talking about that the one that was released in 2000 and I actually just jumped on Google because I don't know that off the top of my head. The Truth or Dare film from 2018?
No, it's not.
Are we talking about that's what I was like, hang
We're
on, are
talking
we
about
talking
different
about
films.
but no, but the reason I asked that because they are about the same thing. You just spoke about what it's about. It's about playing a game of dares and then it turns
No,
it
do you know what it is? I think the movie I'm talking about is Would You Rather.
but that's the only reason the
It
two
is.
no
I'm talking about Would You Rather.
Oh, James, serious. I was like, I was like, do I? Don't I? But when you started reeling off the names, I was like, I don't know any of these people. What
Yeah,
is he talking about?
I
But
was wrong.
do you know the Truth or Dare that I'm talking about?
I haven't seen it, but I'm aware of it.
Oh
Um,
no! Listen, he hasn't. Now you haven't even seen it. Now I feel like an idiot. Um,
That's okay. I was thinking, yeah, would you rather? I think it's a similar premise. Would you rather is wonderful. Truth or Dare did have a very large release in Australia.
yes,
Um,
that's true. But it's funny though. What you just described did sound like what happened in Truth or Dare, as in
would you rather is, I think, I mean, I haven't seen Truth or Dare, but would you rather is very it gets very not gruesome, but very implied gruesome. There's like they all get strapped to a table, and the
oh
host is like,
god,
would you rather um stab the person next to you in the leg, or take a razor blade to your eyeball? Like,
oh my
it's
god. And what year is that movie from?
2012.
Well, I'm definitely going to check that out
It's
because
really good, but yeah.
this has actually worked quite well because you've just given me a good idea, and now you
Truth
have
or
to check
Dare, I
that.
think, had Lucy Hale, the girl from Pretty Little Lies, in it.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah,
Which yeah. No, well, I'm glad
good.
we discovered that. Well, I'm going to
As
check
you're
out.
talking about it, I'm like, oh, I know which one you're talking about, and I haven't seen that one. It was Would You Rather. I just couldn't remember. I thought it was called Truth or Dare.
No, well,
Um,
I'm glad that happened because you just led me to a really good movie. I
yeah,
might
good
if I
luck trying to
like.
find it. I'm sure it's on digital, but
Yeah,
yeah, you
I'm going
couldn't
to
buy
try
it
and
in
look at
Australia.
it tonight. Do you have it?
No, it's on my I've got it on one of my many websites to import, but I
No.
haven't bought it yet. So
Well, wish me luck. I'll try and find it. But yes, so they were the ones that didn't make the list, and I won't keep blabbing on. But there was another one that didn't make it. The girl on the train. I think that's it. Have you seen that one?
yes, I have seen that
Yeah,
one. It came
that was.
out, I think, 6 months after Gone Girl, and they're kind of quite
Yes,
similar, and I
that's
preferred Gone Girl.
right. Yeah, I loved God. Yeah, well, Ben Affleck is amazing, so I do like that too. They
Sure
were both
is.
there. But yes, well, do you want me to get started on this? What's actually on my list?
Yeah, let's have a look at your list. So start with number five. What is number five on your list, Jess?
Number 5 is Hocus Pocus. Now,
Hocus Pocus. What a
yeah,
flick.
and I had to look. I really thought, that's not really like a, you know, because it was one from my childhood that I absolutely loved. I had to put it on there
Yeah, of
because I
course.
wanted to do a bit of both this day and age and back in the day because but yeah, I don't know if you know much about what that's about, but the
I
three
watched it for
witches.
the first time in the last 5 years. So
Oh,
I've seen
really?
it. Yeah, I didn't never caught it as a kid. So it wasn't until I was an adult, like well into my adulthood. But I remember
Mhm.
really digging it, and I remember it being my favorite Sarah Jessica Parker
Yeah,
performance.
same here. It's brilliant. And you know what? There is a Hocus Pocus 2.
I've
It's not
seen
a
it.
re- yeah,
Yep.
it's not a remake. It is a follow-up kind of thing, and it's just as fun. I reckon it's just a really yeah, it's a great movie. So
I thought it was fine. I didn't hate it, but I don't think I didn't think it was as good as one. But I did think it was a
no,
really good
no,
film.
I agree. That's the same as me. And I don't I thought is that because just when you were a kid it was so wonderful at the time, but then I actually watched it again not long ago, and I still agree. Number 1 is better.
Although my favorite scene in the sequel I thought was very funny was when they go into the pharmacy and they're like they see themselves on the camera.
Yes.
Like, that was really funny.
Yeah, that's in number 2, isn't it? That
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that
But
is funny.
so tell me, I'm sure everyone listening has seen Hocus Pocus. I'm sure I was the last person in the world who hadn't seen it, but take us a bit through it. It's about these three witches who,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, were imprisoned in a book or something
Yes.
for a while, and then they
So
get released on this Halloween town.
that's pretty much right. So basically,
Yes.
the movie starts off and it's telling you a story about how these three witches were practicing witchcraft and they were actually taking the lives of children. So it actually is quite it's got a creepy storyline. And they were doing that to get to be youthful and live longer lives themselves. Anyway, they were caught for doing that and they were banished, right?
Mhm.
That's the right word to use.
That's right. Yeah.
And yes, correct again, yay. And they basically, yeah, so then it skips ahead in time 300 years later, and the town's all modern, and they're talking about it's Halloween, and their memory lives on. And, the talk of the town is about the Sanderson sisters. They were the witches. So basically, the story goes on, and these a brother and sister go into their house on this Halloween night, and he lights the black flame candle, the brother does, and it brings the witches back. So yeah, basically the story goes on about they've got to fight to stop them from taking the lives of children again, but it's just good fun. So
Mm.
my way of explaining what happens in movies is going to make no one want to watch them, but
Oh, you do a good job.
you've really got to check this out. I have warned you. I'm more just one to go on about how I love them and not really be able to tell the story very well, but it's a great movie. and it's got some.
It is great. You got Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy
Yeah,
as our
that's
three
it.
witches, and
Yeah,
then Doug Jones plays Billy. Is it Butcherson? Billy Butcher? I think it's
yeah,
Butcherson,
yeah. It's just
the
it's beautiful.
zombie corpse guy. Doug Jones is like the world's best character actor. Like he's been in everything. He was
Is he the one that plays? Is he the zombie one? Is he?
yeah, he was the
What's the
zombie
thing
guy
that
in
loses his
Hogan.
head in it? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think he
yeah.
wakes up in the cemetery.
He was Abe Sapien in Hellboy, and he was the eyeball demon thing in Pan's Labyrinth. I did the hands, even though no one can see it.
Yeah,
He
I
was
like
the
that.
creature in The Shape of Water. He's done a million different things. He's wonderful. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so great little flick. And what is it about Hocus Pocus that you like so much?
Well, I think because like when I was a kid, it was on the like it wasn't scary, but it was along the lines of being spooky. So I enjoyed it. It was, and it made me truly. It was one of those movies that I believed in magic because of it. Do you know what I mean? You know, when you're a
Mm,
kid and you get so sucked into a movie and your imagination, it was just I don't know. Like I felt like they were real. They were real witches. So
mm,
I really enjoyed it. So ever since, because of how it made me feel as a kid, I've just always loved that movie. But
nice. And I feel like there are a couple of flicks that came out around that time, and I'm going to run them by you and see your thoughts
mm,
because the 90s, especially the early 90s, was this wonderful period where they were making these kind of kid horror films.
yeah,
So like Nightmare Before Christmas obviously came up. It might be on your list. I can't remember. So if it's on your
yeah,
list, we
yeah.
can.
That no, I can't believe I forgot that was going to be on there as well. That is
Yeah.
amazing,
So
Jack.
Nightmare Before Christmas, obviously a very creepy kids film.
Mm-hmm.
Adam's Family, obviously based on
Oh yes,
the cartoon strip from the 50s and 60s,
why
and
didn't
then
I
the TV
remember
show.
that one? Mm.
Um, and um, and Casper, obviously another one. So like
Yeah, see, that's
I
what I
wonder,
did.
like you kind of responded quite positively to Jack and to Adam's Family. So were they kind of in your watching cycle as a child as well, or were they kind of
Yeah,
things you got into? Or?
Nightmare Before Christmas. That's I'm actually surprised that I did cross that. There was a big. I was very stuck between choosing Hocus Pocus and Nightmare Before Christmas because Nightmare Before Christmas is one that, from not that many years ago, I would still actually put that on sometimes,
Mm.
even though it's old, as like a bit of a tradition before
It's in the 90s.
Christmas.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's in the 90s, right? And I don't know if anyone's dead yet. So it still hasn't been ruined for me. But yeah, I would always put it on and make everyone watch it and they go, "Oh,
Mm,
not this again." But it was just it's something about it's just magical. And I also had Jack in my car for many years. When I turned 18 and got my
mm.
license, I had those little like toy figure in my car. Jack was just awesome. So
My daughter likes Jack.
yeah,
She's a
he's the
big
best.
Yeah,
And
she's
he's
liked
just
Jack for years. We never taught her the phrase scary. She's picked it up somewhere, but we didn't teach her the word scary. So for the longest time, she didn't know what scary was. So even though it was really creepy, she's like, I like this.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
we tried
No,
not to
it was
teach her
just
fear
fun.
too early, but someone taught her. We don't know who. We have ideas who, but it wasn't us.
Oh no. No, as long as
Um,
she still enjoys it.
that is a great first flick. So Jess, what is
Yeah.
next? What is number 4 on your list?
All right, now number 4. I feel like this could be one that not a lot of people may have heard of or seen, but I hope so because to me it was like
We're all
amazing.
nerds here, so probably, but we'll see.
Well, Jawbreaker. Now that I think was out in I actually wrote this down. You'll probably know. I bet you'll
It
know,
was
but
like
I
96 or 98 or something. Rose
19
McGowan
no,
from Charmed.
sorry. From what I saw, it was 1991, but that could
Really?
be actually that doesn't sound right.
Nah, Rose
Yeah,
McGowan's in it. She was in Charmed. I would say
yeah,
late 90s.
definitely don't
Um,
go by there because I wouldn't have a clue. But that was great, and I actually saw that.
99.
That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't think it could be 91. Jawbreaker, I saw in the cinemas, and from the moment it started, I was hooked. And I don't have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen Jawbreaker. It's one. I think if I now I could be wrong. So please tell me if I'm wrong because
No.
this description was given to me like in the late 90s, early 2000s. Apparently, they accidentally kill someone by stuffing a jawbreaker down their
Yes,
throats.
yes, please,
Oh,
you've got to see it.
okay,
So
so it's real.
basically,
Okay,
it is
yes.
real. I won't. Like I said, I'm not very good at explaining the movies, but pretty much there's a group of girls from school. They're the hot ones. They're the popular ones, and they go to. They're quite bitchy too. That's typical high school. It's actually meant to be a teen
Mm,
comedy or something. Anyway, so these girls go to their girlfriend's house and they gag that she's asleep in bed and they gag her with a jawbreaker. So like a
mm,
you know lolly thing, and they put her in the boot of a car, and they're actually trying to take her to surprise her for her birthday, but they didn't want her to being able to scream because they wanted to trick her into thinking she was being like kidnapped.
Mm.
Anyway, and it's awesome. It's actually at the very start of the film. You see all. I feel like it's not long into it that this happens, and then they pull over at like a service station or something, and they open the boot, and the first thing you see is this girl just lifeless and this jawbreaker in her throat. And I
Mm.
remember as a kid seeing that, and I was like, "Oh my god, it made you
You're
sad
like
because
you didn't realize it was a comedy. You're like, oh my god, this is
yeah, well,
terrifying.
that's the thing. It's so misleading. I actually
Mm.
think it's more on the like it's yeah, it's creepy. But anyway,
Mm.
and yeah, so that happens, and pretty much yeah, it makes you quite sad. But anyway, then another friend goes to call in on that. They try and cover it up. They put her body back in the bed, kind of thing, and someone actually catches them doing it. So then they've got to try and keep someone quiet, and the dramas just go on and on and on. But it's you've got to check it out. It's really,
Mm.
really good. I know I've just given majority of what happens away at the
Oh, not
start.
at all. You've given me one plot point. We're all good.
I know,
Um,
I know. I don't go very far, but I mean, like, knowing that she dies is a bit of a giveaway, but it's good.
yeah. I mean, again, it is a 30-year-old movie or 20-year-old movie, and it did get spoiled for me in my like before I
Well,
was
like,
even a
true.
teenager.
You did
So,
say you didn't know. You've got to watch it, and if you can
mm.
watch really old movies, then you'll enjoy this one.
Yeah,
So I'm
it
gonna ask
sounds a
you.
bit like, and I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but it sounds a little bit like I Know What You Did Last Summer.
It
In
is
as
a bit
much,
like that vibe, and you know
which is
what?
a great flick.
I would love them to do a remake of it. I
They're
would
doing
really
it. They're
love
doing it.
a remake of Jawbreaker.
Oh, sorry, no, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Well, you
Um,
got me so excited then. But
but yeah,
I would like to see the remake of I Know What You Did Last Summer. That'd be
yeah, Sarah
great.
Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. are back. Like they're coming back to do it again. So,
Oh, that's amazing. Well, there
hmm
you go. I had no
yeah.
idea.
Yeah, so no, Jawbreaker, I haven't seen, and it's going to be very hard to get now. But that it does look like a comedy because the poster is almost identical to She's All That. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, it's quite. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't call it a comedy, but anyway. But that's just my opinion.
It does look like a comedy, but fair enough. Yeah, I haven't seen that one, so I don't have much to say. And again, like I don't know anyone in my circle that's seen it. That being said, I haven't asked them about Jawbreaker. You're the first person to mention Jawbreaker
Well,
on the podcast.
I'd
Um,
love to
but
know it from you.
hopefully, I'll be able to get my hands on. I'll see if it's on streaming. I wonder if Jawbreaker is
Oh
currently
yeah,
available.
what is it on? I looked it up the other day. I think it's on Apple Movies, but I don't like iTunes. I don't know if you.
It's not on any of my streaming services,
Let
so
me see, Jawbreaker.
I'm
If
sure you
anyone
can
out there
buy it.
wants to, you can probably just it's on iTunes, but you'd have to buy it, and to buy is 4.99, and to rent it is 2.99. So that's a nice look that you've got going on. Yeah, so
I'm very fidgety, so that's why. Yeah, the
yeah,
audience has no idea what you're talking about, but yes,
it's just a hair clip, guys. So
put a hair
yes.
clip in my hair.
All right, I need to stop talking about blabbing on about nothing. Would you like my number? We're up to number three, aren't we?
Yeah, we're almost halfway through already. We're blazing through this list.
All right. Now, number three, this is where I tried to mix it up so I didn't look like a psycho that only watched horror or
I
creepy
mean, you've just
movies.
mentioned Hocus Pocus and Jawbreaker so far, so I don't think anyone's getting that
Yeah,
impression, but sure.
true, true. Then here I am making out I'm hardcore horror and I come out with Hocus
Guys, oh, I
Pocus.
love it all. The most extreme stuff. Hocus
I,
Pocus, Casper,
I
Adam's
love
Family, Monsters. Like, yeah.
Wizard of Oz. Okay, all right. Now, this one is The Devil Wears Prada. Now,
Yes, what a
that
great
is a
flick.
brilliant movie. Brilliant, brilliant. And I've never really been an Anne Hathaway fan. Like I
How
don't when I
dare
say that.
you? She's amazing.
I've never really watched anything she's in, but
Ooh,
I
Love
loved
and
her
Other
in
Drugs I just watched in the last couple of weeks, and it's incredible.
well,
She's great. And she played
yeah.
Catwoman in Dark Knight Rises, and she was
Oh, did she?
in
Wow.
Brokeback Mountain. She's fantastic.
Well, I had never had anything against her. It's just I felt like I hadn't seen her in many movies. Like, do you know what I mean? She's just someone that I haven't seen a lot of. But
Yeah,
Meryl Streep is fantastic in that too, and
sure is.
I reckon it's the best she's ever looked as a character. I actually love her character in that. I wish she really was like that, as
Meryl
horrible as
Streep,
she is. Yeah,
like a
that night
monster person, like the most horrible person you've ever met.
I really liked her in it, and she just looked good. But anyway,
And Emily Blunt, it probably wasn't Emily
yeah,
Blunt's first role, but was on her big American debuts, and now she's one of the biggest actresses in the world.
yeah, she's brilliant. She's really good in it. But
I saw that
yeah.
movie on. I rented that one from the video store, and I surprised my girlfriend at the time. It was the last girl I dated before my wife, um, and her mother wasn't supposed to know that we were dating.
Mhm.
And I went to their house with a copy of Devil Wears Prada and popcorn, and
Oh,
thought
that's so
I
cute.
and thought that I was keeping the secret covered. But I don't think her mum was surprised, and I think she kind of figured out we were dating. Um, but yeah, Devil Wears Prada is a great flick. Simon Baker, I think, is in it, the
Yes, he
Australian
is.
actor.
He's the Aussie, yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful little flick. I haven't seen it since then. Not because I'm like, oh my god, memories of an ex. Just haven't gone
Yeah,
back
just
to it. But
haven't
it is a
seen it
great little
yet.
flick.
It's one
Very
that
fun.
I can happily watch time and time again, not like back to front, but you know how there's certain movies
Back
that
to
you've seen
front.
it once and like you know what I mean? I
You
won't
don't
watch
want to.
it.
You don't watch it in reverse on rewind. That's
Yeah,
advisable.
look, I choose not to put that one in rewind, but no, like no,
You mean back
I
to back?
that's what I was after.
I don't
Back
watch it.
to
Don't watch it. I
front.
don't watch it. Don't watch it sitting on the couch backwards with my head, facing away from the
That's
television.
funny as because I say that all the time. Like I've never used the correct way of saying it. This is why I ask, am I saying it properly? Because I'll say something
Look,
stupid.
I found another clip for this week episode, so that's good.
Jess doesn't
Back
watch
to
anything back to front.
back to front.
Back
And
to
what
front
was
with
the other
dead
thing that I
people.
laughed at? I don't watch movies if people are dead.
Trust me, I feel like someone else out there could agree with that. Like it's creepy. I feel like it's a thing of the past once they've died. I can't do it.
I
And
definitely like I'm conscious of it, but it doesn't stop me from watching. Like, I've been watching some Hitchcock stuff recently, and I'm like, well, everyone in this movie's dead. Oh well, let's see if it's
actually,
any good.
you know what? I've got another one for you. This is another reason why I can't really enjoy movies that are really old, like even when they're from the 90s. Because if I'm watching it, no,
90s.
listen, you're going to love this. If I'm watching it midway and I Google, like for example, I actually watched Hocus Pocus
Hmm.
not long ago, right? And I Googled who the main character was that plays the little sister.
Mm.
And when I saw who she is today, I was like, wow, I can't. It made me not want to watch it because it's just like
'Cause she grew
she's
up.
like 40 now, and it's just so weird. I just,
Hey
yeah,
guys,
you,
I don't want to alarm you, but have you heard of this thing called time? Um,
but you know what I mean? Because it ruins it for me. It's like, no, I want these characters to be real. And you are now some 40 going on 50-year-old woman that looks like she's lived in like I don't know, a pretty hectic life since she was on that movie.
but
And
that's the beauty of it, because
it
the
ruined
character
it
the
for me.
character doesn't age unless they do a sequel and the character ages up. The character doesn't age. The actor and actress will always get older and will eventually pass away, but
Yeah.
that character is immortal. That's the
Yeah, well,
beauty of
that's
film.
I try and keep it that way, but it just yeah. When I googled her, it really I need to stop doing that. But anyway, that's just another one that I thought you might like to know about.
Yes, I'm very amused by your your confusion by time. Um,
I hate
um,
time.
back to Devil Wears Prada. Can we just call out the MVP? The best, I think, the best character in that role is Stanley Tucci's role. The designer, the guy, the bald
Oh
guy.
yes, the bald guy with the big
Hmm.
glasses. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's in
yeah.
everything as well. He's wonderful.
He is great. What else is he in that I would
He
know?
was in the Hunger Games. He was in. He's in everything. Like,
And it's,
um,
he does play a really good role in that, and I feel so sorry for him when he doesn't get the job that he thought he was going to get. It's sad.
you
He's
know,
going for the job, and Meryl Streep doesn't give it to him. But anyway.
mm, you're not going to Paris.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
he's devastated.
I don't know if you ever watched The Office, but there's a whole
Oh,
like joke in The
that's
Office
brilliant.
where Michael Scott is behaving like Meryl Streep for a week because he thinks she's the hero of the movie, and then he finds out she's the bad guy and he thinks it's a twist ending. Anyway, I'm
No,
just kidding.
I've seen The Office and I love it, but I don't know enough about it. Like I can't remember. It's been a long time. And I think when anyone brings up The Office, I always ask if they've seen Little Britain, but I
Mm.
don't know why. They're probably
Are you talking about the
completely.
American Office or the British Office?
I'm talking about the British Office.
Oh,
I
that's
like.
why. That's what I'm referencing the American Office, but they're both
Oh,
great.
well, there we go. We're on different pages, but I like to. I just think British comedy. I just think they're funny as in that. But
Oh,
anyway,
I agree. I definitely agree. Um,
yes,
Excellent. Devil Wears Prada. I got to
sorry, I
rewatch
think.
that flick now.
Yeah,
Um,
watch it again. Watch it again. I'll
oh
probably
yeah,
do it.
I'm sure. I'm just waiting for a thrift shop copy. I'm getting really obsessed with thrifting at the moment, so I won't buy brand new Blu-rays. I'll go to like cash converters and buy them all up cheap.
Well, why
Um,
not?
they're in great condition, so it's been a fun little hobby.
Yeah,
Um,
that is. I like
Alrighty,
that.
Jess, what is number two on yours? We're killing it. We're just
Oh yeah, we are at number two. Gee whiz. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Number
Gee
two.
whiz, wow.
Gee whiz. Is that making me sound? Why'd you laugh at that?
Because I've never heard a human being outside of a cartoon say "gee whiz" before. Like didn't realize you're wearing your propeller hat and holding a big
I
lollipop.
actually
Gee
do.
whiz, Mister.
I've actually got a cape on as well. But
Gee whiz.
gee whiz. Oh, now I
Okay.
feel like a real loser. Okay. Well, number 2, let's forget about me saying that, is drum roll, Devil. Now, please tell
Yes.
me you know Devil. The one
I
when they get
love Devil. I remember watching
that
Devil and
is
people
brilliant.
didn't like it. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is a great movie.
Can you not like it? It's so like, well, obviously people have a
The
different taste.
poster is, first of all, one of the most simple, beautiful
Yeah, the
poster designs
lift.
I've ever seen. It's just the elevator doors and the red light coming through, so it looks like an upside
Yeah,
down cross, which is perfect.
I love it. Yep, I do
Um,
love
Not directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Everyone thinks it was. He didn't direct it, he produced it. But a great little flick. And basically, it's like a 90-minute movie, and everyone's trapped in an elevator, and
it.
they think the elevator is possessed. Um, and then, like, they
So
find out,
good.
spoilers, that someone is possessed in the elevator.
Oh, it's just great. I wanna watch that again now already. See, I don't know if I don't wanna spoil it in case people haven't seen it and they're listening, because it's something they've gotta it's if they do like movies like me that are scary, it's a really good twist. I feel like it just wasn't who I expected, but anyway, to be the evil one in the lift.
Yeah, the twist got me as well. And then when I
Yeah.
spoke to people about, like, oh, that was so predictable, I was like, was
Well,
it? Or are
that's
you
the
just
thing.
like,
I'm actually surprised that I didn't find it predictable, because you know how sometimes you think, oh, it will be the one you least expect, but it didn't. I didn't catch on at all. I had no idea, so it really did get me, and I loved that about it. It creeped me out when I found out who it was.
they're making a sequel to it?
So sequel, is that going before?
Sequel is
You
the
tell
second one. So
me.
they're making a second one.
Oh my god, James! You know what I thought? You know when you taught me prequel. What do you call it? Help me
So
out here.
yeah, we should address this, because I don't want people thinking that, like, you keep saying that you're like you need help, and you don't need help.
I do
But
need help. I mean,
I was because I use a lot of film jargon. And the beauty of this show, by the way, is this is a show about movie fans who like talking about movies. They don't need to be big old snobs like me. They don't need to use the fancy words. But I was talking to you one day, and I was like, "Ah, it's a sequel," and you're like, "What is that word?" So
oh, I can't believe I just said it again.
that's okay. So a
I
sequel is a story that happens. So if you have three movies, just to say there's I don't know. Well, like, let's use Harry Potter for example. Philosopher's Stone is the first one, and every movie after that is a sequel. It's the next story in the order of the film. So,
yeah.
Chamber of Secrets is a sequel to that. Prisoner of Azkaban is a sequel to both of those. Goblet of Fire is a sequel to all of those, so on and so forth. A prequel is a story that happens before the original story. So, Lord of the Rings was a
So what
series of
happened
films.
leading up to it, pretty much
Yeah, and
before?
then The Hobbit is the prequel to Lord of the Rings. An even better example is
Oh,
Star Wars. You've got your original Star Wars movies from the 70s and 80s. Then in the 2000s, they made a trilogy that happened before Star Wars, a prequel trilogy. And then over the last 10 years, we've seen three new Star Wars films, and they're a sequel trilogy.
I
Um,
see. Well, that's what I got confused with when you said it. My brain straight away went, "Oh, are they bringing out one from before when Devil started?" Yeah, that was just dumb.
Well,
But
there's no information on it. All we know is that it's called Incarnate. That is the name of the movie, apparently. It
any,
doesn't actually say if it's going to be a sequel or a prequel yet, but it is connected to Devil. So that's
oh,
cool.
that's amazing. Any idea when that's meant to come out,
It's
or
in
we just
development, and in development can mean a number of things. Considering there's a writer's strike and an actor's strike at the moment, I guarantee they won't even start making it for another 12 months at least.
Well, I will be watching that whenever it does come out. And same with I know what you did last summer, because
Hmm.
that's really fantastic. I'm actually writing that down. What you did last summer, perfect. Well, so that's Devil, and
So Devil, so yeah, it's the haunted elevator movie. I laugh, but I do like it. What was it about Devil that really stuck with you?
well, basically, I don't know if I should say it because it will give it away.
Is it
But
the twist ending? Is that what it was?
yes, the twist ending, the person. Yeah, exactly. I really don't want to say it because if
That's
people are
okay. I
interested,
mean, look, it is a 14-year-old movie at this point,
it's.
so
I know, but I just mean, look, I'm happy to say it. Should I say it?
it was the old woman.
It was the old woman. Yeah, we're gonna. But it just
There you go. I did
that's
it, so I can
what.
be the bad guy for you.
Yeah, you're the bad one. James just ruined it for you if you wanted to watch it. But it
I
just.
mean, it was 14 years ago, guys. Like, you should have, if you want to watch it, you had plenty of time.
Yeah, you did have enough time. But I loved how. So basically, I think the whole idea of it was she was after people that had done something wrong and they basically haven't come forward with it, because the second that guy admits to the wrongdoings he'd done with the I think he did something wrong to the police officer's family, the police officer that was investigating what was happening in that lift.
Okay.
If you remember, there was
I
a
don't
police
remember. Remember very little about it. It's been a
yeah,
long
well,
time.
one of the people in the lift was involved in a hit and run, and he never went forward with it. And what
That sounds
happens in
familiar.
Rebel, yeah, he never told anyone. He just ran from the cops, basically, didn't turn himself in. And in the elevator, he starts to catch on to the fact that when all this stuff's happening and people are dying around him, he finally confesses out loud to the officer that's listening to him via the audio in the lift. He says, "Oh, I want to admit to something," because he thought he was going to die. He wanted to admit to doing a hit and run
Mm,
and killing someone, a wife or a lady of someone. And it turns out that it is the police officer that is listening. It was his family that he
mm,
did the hit and run with. And then basically after that happens, it goes back to that. You see the old lady basically with this creepy as face say, "Damn, I really wanted you." So
mm,
she couldn't take him because he admitted to what he'd done wrong. And I just remember when I saw her face and her eyes, that's what I loved about it. I was like, that is scary as shit. She really scared me.
mm.
And I loved the whole twist. I just thought it was very clever.
Yeah,
But
it is a great twist. I remember
I
the
hope
twist.
that made sense.
I didn't remember
I
all that
hope,
other stuff, but that's good to know. Good to know.
I hope it made sense. I'm sorry, everyone. Like I said, I'm not really good at relaying the information of movies. In my head, it sounds brilliant, but yes, probably
No,
didn't make much sense.
you've done well. It's all good.
Yeah, thank
Uh,
you.
Alrighty. Well, that brings us to our final movie on your list, number one. So it's it is an eclectic list. There's a lot of stuff that no. In fact, with the exception of Hocus Pocus, I don't think anyone has mentioned any film on your list. I think you've brought all first time movies. What is number one? Your favorite movie of all time? What is it?
All right. Well,
I think I know what it is.
I think you do know what it is. And the reason that this is a favorite, well, I will get to that. I'm just going to tell you what it is. Number one is Sinister. That is award winning to me. Now, you know how earlier on I said I want that feeling of being scared.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Now that did that for me. Like I said, I struggle to find anything scary. That made me, I remember sitting there next to my husband watching it, and I needed to turn the lamp on. I've never had that. There's been no movie in the past like 10 years or whenever that since
Have you
watching
seen
that.
Hereditary?
Yes, I have.
And
And
that
none of
didn't
it,
scare you?
not one bit.
Wow.
Not one bit. That was like watching a Disney movie, and that just does not. But Sinister, I
Mm,
turned the lamp on because it was chilling for me. So
I agree.
it's
Sinister is
chilling.
terrifying.
It is terrifying, isn't it?
So about this time last year, October last year, we were doing movies that scare us the most, and I talked about the five, and I kind of did something a little bit different, but I just went in order of the times in my life I got most scared. So it wasn't the five scariest movies in the last 10 years. It was just like, this is the first film that really
Yeah,
scared me. Then the next one that scared me more was this, and so on. And Sinister was on the list. Like Sinister and Hereditary is the film that has scared me the most recently. I do think it is scary,
like
but
it
not.
definitely. Yeah, it's definitely not a fairy tale, but you know what I
It's
mean. It didn't
bleak.
give me that.
It's
Yeah,
unsettling. Like
it is.
it's
It is gruesome. There's that
hey,
horrible scene when the girl she sticks her head out of the car or something, doesn't
gets
she?
her
It's
head
a
knocked
horrible.
off. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty stuffed up. Yeah, that was
I
yuck.
got it. I swore I'd never watch it again. I do own it, but now that I'm a parent, I don't know if I will watch it again because I have a daughter
Yeah,
and I
it
don't want
is
her to stick her
creepy.
head out of a hole. So we'll see.
I feel like I did sort of make that out, like it wasn't scary. It definitely was, but when I'm talking in comparison to how Sinister made me feel, that's what
Yes.
I meant, as in like that was like watching a Disney movie, but it was scary. But yeah, in comparison, Sinister just really made me like I actually struggled to go to sleep. I found it just
Me
disturbing
too.
on every level.
Well, I watched Sinister. I've only seen it once. I do own it, and I think I'm going to rewatch it this year for
Oh, do it
Halloween.
again. I'll rewatch it 100%.
Um,
I've seen it
but
about three times.
I remember I watched it and it stuck with me. Like,
It does.
I would go to sleep at night, and I just told my wife, I'm like, once I fall asleep, you can turn the lamp off. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. And like, thankfully, she was very patient with me.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it just has that effect, doesn't it? Um, I wanna
so
ask you,
go-
what made you feel like that from it? Because I wanna see if we got the same.
the
If
whole thing is unsettling. So first of all, the found footage, the five tapes, the murder tapes, I think are very creepy.
they are.
Um, very
It's
creepy, especially. I mean, I know everyone talks about the lawnmower one, but the lawnmower one is best stuff. It's dark.
yeah, it's
Um,
disgusting.
um, there's the scene, I think it's in Sinister, um, where the boy is having like the panic attack.
I think,
Um,
oh yeah, the bad dreams. I
he's
think he
having the
has
bad
bad
dream,
dreams.
and like
Yeah,
his
yeah,
dad comes out and he's like, and he's like doing the weird flailing thing. I don't remember much, but I remember that being terrifying. The
yeah.
whole feeling of the film is grim. Like
It
there's
is.
never a light moment. Um, you got Ethan Hawke in it, who's one of the world's best actors, and like,
He's
he
so
until
good in
Sinister
it.
he'd never done horror, and he was like, I like this script, and now he almost exclusively does horror, which is
I
great. He
fell
did,
in love with him from that. That's what made me really want to see the Black Phone. Like, not
which
only
is
did it
I
look like it,
rewatched that recently, and that is a
yeah,
goddamn awesome film. It's so good. Um, but
he's so
yeah,
good
I
in
think the
it.
design of the demon Bagul is scary. Like I know people are like he looks like Slipknot, like, and I
No,
guess he does a little bit. But like the
but
scene
now
of
you
him
say that, yeah.
underwater, under the pool,
You've just said everything. That is exactly what really, that's what did it for me. Like, it's not often there is a character in a movie that really creeps me out. Like back when I was a young, like a kid, Michael Myers' face used to make me like, oh,
mm,
that creeped me out. But since then, there's really been nothing. It's, the ghosts and stuff don't do it for me. But that face was so creepy looking, and in the pool,
mm,
that was just, yeah.
um,
It's like it was there with me. It was horrible.
I would add to creepy looking characters of the modern era, Art the Clown. Art
Oh,
from
Heaton's gross. That's
from
from Terrifier.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean he is funny. Like that whole scene with the sunglasses is really funny.
Oh,
But
yeah, when he tried the daisy ones or whatever
yeah,
they are,
but
the
he's a
creative.
terrifying. Like he's one of the creepiest looking things I've ever seen. But the other thing in Sinister that really scared me was just the idea that like this demon was tricking children, the youngest child of each family, to kill their families. Like I was just like,
It's
that's
really, you know
dark.
what? Like, who made that film?
Scott
Like, who?
Derrickson. So the guy who did the Black Phone did
So
Sinister.
he, yeah. Well, that's why they're both. That's why I love them both. There you go.
Mm,
But like, I remember just watching it and thinking, until knowing now, I thought, wow, who came up with this idea? Because this is exactly what it takes to terrify me.
mm.
So I hope they do something like this again. And I actually don't think there will be anything that tops that for me. Like, I don't know what
They
could
made a
come out.
sequel. They made a second Sinister, but it didn't have the same
It didn't have
effect.
the same effect. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen that as well. And
it
I
wasn't the
kind of
same director. Scott Derrickson didn't do number two. So
maybe that's, well, I just think unless someone can top that, I really don't see myself getting that kind of a feeling from a movie. So that, yeah, that's my absolute award winner, that one.
yeah, it's solid. It's a great flick. Sinister.
Mm,
Yeah, I've only seen it once, and I really want to watch it again. But it just
yeah,
it
I want
scared me
to.
so much. It's so
No,
scary.
I'm happy to do. I would watch that again for sure. I've
Uh,
seen it 3 times, and look, if this helps, it does. This, well, I found it
oh, of
does.
course,
The
absolutely. Like
the effect is lessened because you have already seen the creepiness, but yeah, I wouldn't want to watch it. I couldn't watch it, even though I've seen it 3 times. I wouldn't want to watch it again in the dark on my own. I don't think I'd need it to be
no,
like,
it'd be a daytime watch for me again.
yeah,
Just
it
like
needs
in
to be.
my first time watching Insidious was a daytime watch. Um, I thought Terrifier 2 was going to be a daytime watch, but then within like 20 minutes, I'm like, oh, it's very obviously rubber. That's okay.
Yeah,
Because and actually, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show before, but Terrifier 2 was a film I really wanted to watch for a long time. And
mm,
you watched it before me, and you were like, oh, James, like it's messed up. It's one of the darkest things I've
oh,
seen, to the point where I was like, oh, and I bought it, and it was sitting there on my shelf for weeks, and I'm like, I know I'm going to watch this now. Like it's going to be really bad. And then
yeah. It was
and
just
then
like some
then
sick
you're like,
shit.
oh, I should clarify. It's gross, but it's fine. And then I watched it, and it's totally fine.
Yeah, it's not that it was like, it didn't, like I said, that didn't scare me, but it just had some of the stuff that he did. It was like, yuck, how does someone even think of that?
Yeah.
Like,
And they're making a
oh,
third one. There's Terrifier 3
oh,
on its way.
really?
And he said the guy was like, look, the second one was a little bit more funny, like they kind of lent into the humor. He goes, the third one's gonna be a lot more like the first one. Look, darker and going for scares again. Because I
Yeah,
rewatched the first Terrifier recently, and I liked it a lot more the second time around. The first time I thought it was kind
yeah.
of boring. The
I
second time,
think I think I might need to give that. I've only seen it once, but now that you say the second time around, I want to give it another go because I kind of found it like a little bit almost silly to some extent. Like,
Hmm.
kind of, I thought, I don't know how to take this. It's just, but I want to give it another go. I think, but yeah, eventually.
Did you watch, talking about like movies that are kind of movies that have been scarier and stuff? Where do you sit on something like The Conjuring? Do you feel like The Conjuring is a scary film, or that doesn't really work for
I
you?
They don't. Oh, see, what scares me about those is Because I think people is it they're the ones that people say are basically they're based on true stories. Is that
I
what
mean, look,
like
it's not really my jam. I don't really buy into that, but um,
that's
they say they are. Yes.
yeah, that's sort of the only thing that that the movie themselves would not scare me if I hadn't heard anything like that. But I've got this bit of I can be sort of superstitious where sometimes if I'm watching something I think, oh well if it is true, I don't know if I want to watch it. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm,
that's what sort of creeps me out about it, thinking that maybe it is I'm watching something based on what's happened to someone. So that kind of creeps me out. But other than that, they don't really scare me, if that makes
mm,
sense.
that makes
But
sense.
yeah, but you know what? There is actually another movie I want to ask you about, which is going
Hmm.
off track. And I thought of it before because I think you might have spoken about. I could be wrong, but the director, or I don't know how to say what they are, directors or whoever made it.
Yeah.
Is it Death Trap or Death Proof? Hang on, I googled it before.
Death Proof is a
Death,
movie. It's a Tarantino film, but it's not a horror
yes,
movie.
no, it's not, but it's an
It's the
action
car
thriller.
movie.
Yes, have you
Yeah.
seen that?
Oh,
Yeah, that
but so many times. Yeah.
I
It's
wanted to bring that.
I
Wanted to
think
bring
it's
it
one of
up
the most
earlier.
underrated Tarantino films of all. People like kind of pass it over as thinking it's not very good, and they think it's one of his weakest ones. I don't think it's his best film, but I think it's a lot more fun than people give it credit for. It's a really interesting flick.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and the reason I thought of that earlier was because it has the same woman. I just double checked, yeah, because I thought off the top of my head that's in Jawbreaker.
yeah, Rose McGowan. She was also in
Yeah.
Charmed.
Yes, that's right. So I just think that's my husband actually put that. I never knew about that movie, and it was I don't know, feels like a year ago or something that he put it on, and I was like, wow. See, that's what I mean. I normally not wouldn't venture out for something like that, and like action movies, and I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. But
All of his movies are great. The Tarantino makes
yeah,
wonderful films. Like my favorites are Kill Bill and Inglorious Bastards. You should definitely watch those.
oh,
Um,
they his, yeah,
Kill Bill is a samurai film. Well, the first one is a samurai film. The second one is more of a western, and then Inglorious Bastards is a World War II movie. But they're really fun.
yeah.
Um,
I've only ever seen bits of Kill Bill. Sorry, I did go off
so
track
good.
with asking about
No,
that.
that's fine.
But
That's what this show is. This show is
I
talking
thought
about movies, so you're all good.
Yeah, I thought if I don't ask, I will forget what it is. But and another one, John Wick,
Yes.
brilliant. I love John Wick.
I thought John Wick was fine. I remember when that first movie came out, people were losing their minds about it, and I was like, "Look, it's a very good film." And I was very snobby back then, and I can respect it now. I actually like two the best. I haven't seen four yet, but I really like John Wick two. I think the best of the three that I've seen. But when John
Hmm.
Wick came out, I was like, "Look, it's a cool movie, but I think Keanu Reeves is better with guns in The Matrix, and I think there's a better kung fu film in The Raid. I think The Raid is the best kung fu film of all time, but John Wick is a lot of fun. And now that I'm not so snobby, I'm man enough to admit that it's a good film. But yeah,
Yeah, I think my favorite would. I've seen them all now, but I can't really remember them. Like, is there three or four?
there's four now. The fourth one's
Four.
like almost 3 hours long.
Yeah, we saw four not too long ago, and I was sort of that kind of I just felt like it went on for way too long. But I think number one was great. I loved the storyline in that how much he loves his dog, and then like
Mm.
I respected that about him. Why that made him so angry being an animal lover. So
Mm.
yeah, I loved number one. But
And going back to horror films that scare you, and how most of them don't. Have you seen Evil Dead, the 2013 one? So not the original one from the
no,
80s, and not the newest one, but have you seen? It's just called Evil Dead.
I haven't. Is that see Evil
It's
Dead? Is
great.
that sort of like is that zombie like? What's it about?
It's possession. So
Well, don't tell me too much because I reckon I should check it out.
this is what it looks like. The artwork. I'm showing it to you on the camera right now.
Yes, okay,
Um,
and that there's a new one of Rise comes after that, is that right?
yeah, the Rise is kind of like its own thing. It's not really connected, but the
Mhm.
2013 version of Evil Dead is legitimately scary. Like that was a film that really scared me when I saw it. Um,
Well,
and
I'll give it a go. Hang on, so just
it's pretty extreme. Like yeah, I think you'll
and what year is that one, sorry? Evil Dead
2013.
2013. Well, I'll check it out because eventually I think I would like to watch Rise. So if it will help me make sense of what's going on, I'll definitely check that one out first. I don't know if you sort of need to see
Nah,
them
you
all.
don't. No.
No? But I'll give it a go.
2013 was like a remake, but now it's kind of its own thing. And the one from this year is its own thing as well. So they're not connected to anything else. They're just are their own stories, which makes it easy to watch. You don't need to watch a bunch of stuff
Yeah, yeah.
beforehand.
Well, no, I've never
Did you watch Smile?
Yes, I did like look, another one didn't scare me, but I liked it. I did
I
like
thought it was the scariest film of the year last year.
well, in saying that, I did go to the cinemas and see it, and it was the cinemas was full of screaming teenagers that were
Ah,
just
that's right. I
mucking
remember you telling me
around.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was almost impossible to hear half of it. But like I don't know. I liked the storyline, but it didn't scare me. And I know I probably am being a snob here. I'm searching too hard for that scare, and instead of just truly enjoying the movie
That
for what it is.
moment where she comes home and she just sees the smile in the corner, like that's when I turned it off. I was like, all right, this is a daytime movie. I was like, I
Yeah,
gotta
no,
stop.
it is. I do like that, and that I love that creepy shit like that in movies when and that's what I liked about Truth or Dare, which is what you haven't seen, and
Mm,
that's why I think you'll enjoy it. It's sort of got that kind of way to it,
mm.
but no, I'm going off track again, but there is another one I want to ask you
Go for
about
it. This is a
because
movie show. We talk about movies.
I remembered about Keanu Reeves, and I think you've seen it, but have you seen the movie he's in, Knock Knock?
Yes. Yes, I
Now
have.
that is so twisted. That is like when I say twisted, not as in like, oh my God, it's scary, it's freaky. Twisted as in like the way that they treat him in that is so it mentally stuffed with me. I was like, this
Yeah.
is cruel. They are tormenting the shit out of him.
The first time I watched it, I was like, this is great. Like, it's a great film. The second time I
Yeah.
watched it, I felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very much like that. It's like this is so disturbing. Like you end up feeling so sorry for
mm.
him. Did
It's
you
free
feel that way?
pizza.
Yeah.
It was directed by Eli Roth, who did the Hostel movies. So he did Hostel 1 and 2.
Oh my God, how have we not spoken of Hostel?
And he did Cabin Fever, and he did The Green Inferno. Um,
Oh,
so
well,
Eli
there.
Roth directed all those films. So Knock Knock is actually his tamest movie. Um,
Yeah, I just found like it was yeah, like it's just how they mentally mess with him, and it's like, oh my God, they're just so antagonizing, and they think that he's going to be let off, and then like they
yeah,
tease him more. It's just really
and they're
weird.
so insufferable. Like when you
Mm.
first meet them, they're like, "Oh, we're just sexy girls," and then the
Yeah,
next day when they're like destroying everything and like I'm just like, "Oh, it's so cringy," and I would just
yeah, it is.
you can't stand them. They're
No,
so
that's right.
unpleasant. Yeah.
You hate them, but yeah. Did you actually like it, or it was sort of not
No, I
your?
like the first time I really liked. I thought it was a really interesting movie. I thought like for Eli Roth, it was really brave not to make a gory film because he
Yeah,
has been so known for making gory films. So to do something that was very psychological, I thought it was a very
yeah.
cool decision for him. Um, the
Well, I
second
would
time,
never have known that he
yeah,
did Hostel. That's
yeah,
interesting.
the second time I watched it, I found it very tough to watch. I felt very uncomfortable the whole time. But that was because I think the second time I watched it was right around the whole Me Too thing. So obviously, once we started
Yeah, the
seeing that
idea of it
women
was
had been abused in Hollywood and stuff, and obviously I'm not saying Eli Roth did that, but just to see the idea of kind of like sexual punishment and like kind of the
yeah.
humiliation of people, I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. But and
Yeah,
I'm
you
not saying,
I know
and
what
Me
you
Too
mean.
isn't over. Me Too will always go on now, and it's a very important movement.
Yeah,
But now that I think that that has seemed to um,
settled a little bit.
settle it might be an easier watch again, but maybe not. And also now that I have a daughter, I might be like, okay, I can never watch this film again.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll
I'm the
see.
same. I don't think I could watch it again. I've only
Mm.
seen it the once, but like it's sort of stuck with me as in like I said, how they mentally I don't know, I just whenever I think of Keanu Reeves, that pops into my head and I'm like, yeah, that was because I love him and I just felt like, how could
Mm.
they do this to him? But yeah, I'm the same. I don't think I
Um,
could watch it again.
no worries. Excellent, Jess. Well, you survived the show. Well done. You've got to the end of your list.
Oh my
Um,
God. I've
before
spoken
we
probably too much.
before we wrap up, we always do a rapid fire question round. Now, it's the same questions every episode for when we do the top five films. If you've listened to a top five film episode before, you might be prepared. You might not. Um,
Um
and we say rapid fire, but it normally takes a few minutes because you're not prepared for them, so don't stress.
yeah,
So,
thanks
Jess,
for this.
first of all, what was the last movie you watched?
Oh shit. Now you got me thinking. It could have actually been Hocus Pocus. It could have no, dead set it might have been because I did a rewatch of it. It was nearly The Pope's Exorcist because
Oh, I
I
want to see
actually
that.
yes, and I'm shattered that I haven't because then that would have been so fun for me to say I'd seen. I actually rented it off iTunes. I use iTunes a lot, and my husband did get home late till one night, and you only get like 3 days to watch it or two or a certain amount of hours, and then I ended up losing the rental, so I've got to rent it again. So it may have been
It
Hocus
wasn't
Pocus.
Wrong Turn because I know we watched Wrong Turn together a couple of weeks
Oh
ago.
yes, it was Wrong Turn.
How dare you not watch a movie since Wrong
Yes,
Turn? That was like 2 weeks
no,
ago.
no. I'm sorry. The reason I think I thought it was Hocus Pocus was because when I was going to do my list, I wanted to possibly go over some of them and rewatch them, and I went to go and yeah, you're right. Just forget me. It was Wrong Turn, and you introduced me to that. and I would probably never have picked that one unless you pointed it out, and that was brilliant too. I really enjoyed that.
How dare you? Like, I mean, like, I'm glad that you watched a great movie, but that was 2 weeks ago. You should have
I
watched more
feel
movies since then.
I feel bad. Yeah, I know. I feel well, like I I put
Like,
stuff
let
on
me
in the
let me get
background.
very snobby for a second. So we watched Wrong Turn, as I said, about 2 weeks ago. Since then, I've watched
Oh,
four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 movies since then.
well, you've just given me a really good excuse to spend all of tomorrow watching movies, just so I can outdo your amount in one day, James. In one day. No, I've probably had things on in the background, but I haven't watched a
No, of
solid
course. I'm
movie.
being silly. You have a life, so
No,
you're okay.
but usually my life does revolve around watching movies. But yeah, it was Wrong Turn, and that was really good, and that was fun. That was a fun
Excellent.
one.
Alrighty, next question. What's that one movie that's been sitting on your watch list forever? You know you want to watch it. You know you should watch it, but you just keep putting it off. What is it?
Oh, you've really got me with that because if I feel like I watch all the ones that I usually really want to see.
Or maybe it's not one that you've wanted to see, but people keep telling you need to watch, and you're like, yeah, yeah, I'll watch it eventually, and you keep putting it off.
Can it? Oh, okay, yeah. I was going to say, can it be one I've seen that I want to watch again, but I keep not getting around to it?
I
Not
mean, it
really.
can. It should probably should be something you've never seen before.
No, I can't think of one that I've never. I really can't answer that. This is hard. Well, you could probably. Oh, I don't know.
You can do the rewatch one if you want. There's no rules with the
I'm
show,
gonna.
but
I can't. You really have got me stuck there. So I'm gonna just be a pain in the bum. So I'm gonna go
what
with
about
one that.
Triangle? I've been recommend that for you.
Okay, you can go with triangle. That's one that you
Should
have.
I just answer your questions for
Yes.
you?
I need see guys, I'm sorry. I needed that help. As soon as I get stuck, I can't get out of it. But James has recommended to watch Triangle so many years ago. What how many years ago?
Since I gave you that list, so 3 years
Yeah,
now.
it's been 3 years and I haven't gotten around to it still. And that's just so stupid of me because I watch movies all the time. So
We were gonna watch it that night, and then we ended up watching Wrong Turn instead.
I don't know why would we do that? That's just stupid. Was I not able to find it?
Well, we were gonna watch. No, we were gonna watch something during the day because I was still recovering from my surgery, and we were just chatting, and I was like, "Hey, I'm free if you want to watch a movie together." Um,
We
it's
should
just
have
so
watched
people like it's
Triangle.
people are like, "What do you mean?" We will text and sit in our own homes and just text while watching a movie at the same
Yeah, we're not
time.
actually together. We're in our own homes watching. We just started at the same time, and it's great fun. You get to
I
just sort
said,
of,
"Do you want to watch?" I'm looking to watch a movie today. These are the ones I want to watch, and you were
yeah,
like, "Oh, I've seen these recently. Don't worry, I'm just watching my own thing." So I watched Man of Steel instead. And then later you're like, "Damn it, we should have watched Triangle." And I was like, "Well, we can watch it tonight." And then I don't know
and
how
then
it
you
came
went with
about, but I was
Wrong
like, "Oh, look,
Turn.
actually, I'm probably more in the mood to watch Wrong Turn." And you're like, "I can watch Wrong Turn." So like that
It's
was
actually hilarious how like wrong we've gone not watching it, and the fact that we finally got the opportunity again to watch one at the same time. We go, yeah, no, not Triangle, Wrong Turn.
actually, you know what it was? Man of Steel was a different day. The next day we tried again, and I wanted to watch Get Out, and you didn't want to watch Get Out, so I watched Get Out and I
Yeah, I
watched Us,
don't.
and then that
Yeah,
night I watched Justice League, and then we watched Wrong Turn.
Wrong Turn.
Um,
Well, we really need to get to watching Triangle. So the next time that you have, I wasn't going to say, hopefully no surgery. I don't want you have to get wisdom teeth out before we can watch
they're all
any more
gone. There's
teeth.
no more wisdom
Yeah,
teeth to be removed.
no more
I've lost
teeth
all
out.
wisdom, so I'm fine.
But if there's any more recovery days, let's lock in Triangle because it's been a long time. But yes.
Excellent. All right, next on the rapid fire question, Jess, and I don't know the answers to this, and given the genre you prefer, you might not be, but are you a movie crier? Do you cry watching the movies?
Yes, I have definitely cried watching. Oh, it was the dog one. Okay, that's not going to help.
Is it Marley and Me?
It might no, hang on.
Dog's
No,
Tale? Dog's
that one
Journey?
has Dog's Journey. That one, yeah, yeah, yeah. When it gets old and it keeps coming back as another dog.
I
Is
haven't
that the
seen it,
one?
but the
Oh
trailers made
my
my wife cry, so I was like, yeah,
God,
we're not
it
watching
is
this.
that made me cry so much. And my husband, we're both yeah, we both I can definitely cry in a movie if it's a sad one, that's for sure. And if it's anything to do with animals getting old and passing away or being harmed, oh, I'm gone. I'll bawl my eyes out.
Okay, so you will cry under specific circumstances. I cry in everything. I cry in, I cried in Avengers. Like I cry
Yeah.
all the time.
Oh no. Yeah, you just reminded me.
But
By
not when
saying
someone died. I didn't cry. I mean, I did, but not when someone died. I cried in the cool parts. So
no, I cry. I really got upset Endgame, is that what
Yeah,
it is?
yeah.
And with that was just horrible when that beautiful little rabbit kept thinking that she was gonna get freed, and she was,
Oh,
"Oh, they're gonna."
In Guardians of the Galaxy, you mean?
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Is that not called Endgame? Sorry, I'm clueless with the Marvel movies.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, that I'm glad we discovered that. But yeah, and they the ones that were getting tested on, and when she didn't and she was killed, oh my god,
Mm.
that was depressing. That was really sad.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Peter of the protection. I can't remember what they're called, but the animal rights group. They said it was the
Yeah.
most animal ethically friendly movie of all time, or something.
It
So
was. I loved how much awareness that brought
mm,
to for animals, but we're not talking about vegan stuff, so I'm not going to go off track. But yeah, that was a brilliant movie. Definitely recommend.
we'll talk about it for the end. Don't worry, we'll make time for it. Jess, is there an actor or actress that you will follow anywhere? It doesn't matter what movie it is. If that person's in it, you're going to go watch it. Is there someone, and who is it?
I reckon there would be. I have to say too. As of late, I really like when I say as of late, because when I was a kid, I didn't really have much to do with him. But Ben Affleck, I
Yes.
really love Ben Affleck, and I'm obsessed with him in The Town, and I could watch that over and
I just
over and
bought that
over.
recently. The Town. hadn't owned it, but I've seen it, but I hadn't owned it. So I bought it.
Yeah, I love that. So I think really anything that he's in, I love. And
Argo. Have you seen Argo?
I have seen Argo, but I couldn't remember. I couldn't tell you one thing about it.
Have you
So I think
seen Gone Baby Gone?
yes, I have seen that. But see, I can't
Good.
remember it. So these are ones I'm going to rewatch. But I've definitely seen it.
He was big in the
And
90s, so you might have to go back and watch some old
and
movies.
he was in Gone Girl too, wasn't he? He
Yeah,
was
he
the
was in Gone Girl.
yeah.
You could tell he was training to be Batman because there's a scene where he pushes her and he looks like a monster. He's
He
so
was
big.
huge. Oh, I just love him. And the other person would have to be. I don't know if I'm allowed to say too, but
Of course you can.
it used to be. I was obsessed with Johnny Depp. I used to love Johnny Depp, but he's gone off the rails and the radar now. But that was a
That's
long
how I feel
time
about
ago.
Will Smith. Ever since that slap, I've had a really hard time watching Will Smith movies.
Yeah, and that's the same as me. Like I think I don't want to say Johnny Depp, but yeah, I don't know.
But you
I
can
just
respect the performance. Like I rewatched Pirates of the Caribbean this year, and I had a blast watching it. And I was like, look, it's a shame that he's become a bit of a strange guy, and hopefully he gets himself back in order. But Pirates of the
yeah,
Caribbean's a wonderful movie.
that's it. Well, I think what actually made me like I'm going back in time here as to why I loved Johnny Depp. That was I loved Edward Scissorhands, and I
Mm.
loved him in that. And that's I just thought, oh my god, I just kind of idolized him from that movie. But more recently, yeah,
Yeah,
probably not
but you
him.
can like a performance and still not like the actor. That's okay.
Yeah, that's it.
You're
So
allowed to do that.
you stick with Ben Affleck though; he wins it.
Um, Now, I don't think you'll have trouble with this question because you do like to talk this way. We don't like to be negative, but Jess, what's the worst movie you've ever seen?
Oh, you think I'll know the answer to this? Now you've made me.
I feel like you are very honest about how you feel with movies, and you will just be like, "That sucked." like,
All
whereas,
right, let me think. Let
whereas
me
I
think.
always try to find something positive in every movie.
Yeah, there's been definitely ones that I've watched and they're terrible. Oh shit! I can't think. You've really. I don't like these rapid questions. I'm unprepared.
That's the point, bro.
Oh, I need time. I can't think of that.
That's okay.
What's a
We don't-
terrible? Oh, actually, oh no, James. I do know one, and I'm sorry. I don't know if at the time I said, "Oh, yeah, it wasn't bad," or I don't know if I was honest about it, but I think you recommended it, and it was just I found it revolting. That one where that man keeps giving birth to like another man
Oh,
himself.
Men. Yeah,
Yes.
I
So
love
yeah,
Men.
will you ask me what one I thought it was terrible and I'd never watch again?
I
Because
just
I've
said,
just
"What's the worst movie you've ever seen?"
I
But that
reckon that's up there. I reckon that's up there.
I
I
love
was
Men.
like,
There's a clip for you. I think Men's a great movie, but
I love
I
men.
love Men. I love
Nothing
everyone.
wrong with
Um, yeah, no, Men's great, but I can totally understand. Like, it is not for everyone. It is a weird
yes,
movie. Um,
that was really
did I
weird.
recommend that to you? What was I thinking?
I think
That's not a just recommendation. That's
you might have just I don't know, maybe you told me about it and I thought I'll give it a go. Actually, I feel like you might have actually said, "I'm not sure if you'll dig it,"
I
or
feel like I
something,
would
but
have given you a precursor, been like, look,
yeah,
I
you
dug
kind of
it, but it's probably not for you.
I think you did say something along those lines, but I gave it a go and I was like, "What the hell am
He's
I
just
watching?"
he plays every role, even the little boy. He's so good.
I feel like it could have been like my view. I feel like it could have been better because there was a lot of creepiness at the start, like when you'd see that naked person standing out in the woods, and then I was like,
Mm.
"Oh." where is this going? This could be really scary. And then it just took a really weird turn.
I thought you were going to say Midsommar because I recommended that film. I'm like, don't say it. Midsommar is brilliant and I won't hear anything else. But
No,
Men, I
no,
totally understand. It's great, but it is not for everyone. Um,
not for everyone. Not
all right,
yet.
Jess, last rapid fire question, then we'll get out of here. What's the one movie they should never remake? You don't want to see another version of this movie ever. It's
Man,
perfect. It's perfect. Oh man,
definitely that one. I
oh,
would.
that's so funny. I was talking. I've always phrased it from a point of view being like, "Oh, what's something you love so much you would never want them to remake it?" But you're like, "No,
Oh,
this movie was so bad. I don't want to ever see another version of it." That's genius.
I don't want. Were you? Oh shit! So I didn't let you finish, and I've
No, that's a great answer. I love that.
that definitely never again.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh
Um,
shit!
that is the end of the show, Jess. You survived.
Oh, I
And so
did
you
it.
did. You mentioned a couple of times. Well, let's talk about it. You were very nervous.
Oh my
Um,
god, was
and
I
when I
nervous?
say very nervous, I mean I've asked you multiple times over the last 2 years to do the show, and every time you've said no, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to ask you anymore, and it's not because I'm offended or frustrated. I was like, you know what, you clearly don't want to do it. I'm just going to leave you alone. And then like a month or two ago, you're like, hey. I think I'm ready to do the show now, and I was so busy. I was like, "That's awesome. I just don't have time to fit you in at the moment,
Well,
but
bad
like,
luck hits me not doing it. Yeah.
we'll come back to it." And then last week, I think it was the week before, I was like, "Hey, let's get you on the show." And you're like, "Oh no, I'm not ready anymore." So there's been a lot of back and forth, and every time we've spoken in the last couple of weeks, you've been like, "Look, I want to do it, but I'm really nervous," and like you kind of like doing it. And I was like, "You'll be fine." And I recommended you listen to I think it was episode 8, Elizabethtown, whichever the first episode of My Sister-in-Law Liz. So I said Liz was very nervous
Yeah,
as
that was
well,
great. I loved that. She
but when
gave
you
me the confidence boost I needed.
but like when you listen to it, you can't tell she's nervous. And I would say that you have not sounded nervous once on the show either. So how are you feeling now the episode's done?
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you said I haven't sounded nervous because at the start I thought, wow, I hope no one else can detect this because when you get nervous and you can hear your like heart rate or your heartbeat in your ears, like you're like boom, boom, boom. I was so nervous when we started. I was like, don't get anxious, don't get anxious. But then once you got into it more, I feel great. I'm so glad I've done it. And
Mm.
so, anyone else listening, if you're contemplating it, do it because I was a nervous wreck. And now I feel like I'll be pestering James weekly to come back on.
Yeah, I mean, and look, you're welcome back. Like it was a good episode, so you're definitely welcome back anytime. Um,
Thank you. I
excellent.
loved it.
We're going to wrap things up here. So first of all, thank you very much to Jess for coming on. It was been a long time coming, but she's finally shown up and she's delivered the goods. So she'll
Yes.
be welcome back anytime. Jess, now you're not you. How do I say this? You don't have a podcast of your own, and you don't kind of create things, but you do have a very active social media. And you do some very important work. Tell people about that one. Are you still using that page, or is that you're still using that page,
Oh,
aren't
that
you?
is so sweet of you to bring that up. I believe, are you talking about the It's Kind to Clean
That's
page?
the
Or
one. Yeah.
yeah, well, look, I wish it had more of a following. It definitely doesn't. But yeah, I still always follow what that's about and do that in my own time, but I haven't been posting about it. But what it is about is, well, picking up litter because I am all for animal welfare. And it actually started off because my husband and I went for a walk down to the creek that's out the back of our property, which we've got a lot of wildlife around, and it was covered. I'm talking, you could barely even see the rocks at the bottom without looking at rubbish that people had thrown. And that really just upset me. So that's why I started that page to bring awareness because a lot of people think, well, it's just rubbish. How's that affecting nature? But it does. It kills wildlife, it gets into the oceans, and it destroys habitats. So that's why I did that. But I feel like, no one wants to hear about that. But yeah, that's that's why I do it. I love animals.
But you've
And
had some headway. Like I've seen you've like written letters to government and stuff, and I know the responses haven't been brilliant from them.
oh
But
yeah,
you've
there's
also
been some
had
stuff
shout
I've
outs from
responsible.
other like wildlife protectors and stuff like that. So there has been some
Yeah,
traction.
well, thank
Um,
you. My personal Instagram is actually this was like, and look, I don't do what I do to get credit from these places, but of course, when someone that you adore notices you, you can't help but be happy by it and excited by it. But my personal page, World Animal Protection Australia, follow me now, and
oh, very cool.
that is amazing for me because they're huge. And the It's Kind to Clean page that I was talking about that I do try and bring awareness to not trashing the place and picking up litter. Animals Australia follow that. So that's huge to me. If you know about
Mhm.
Animals Australia, to have them follow was like a dream come true because it just shows that you support one another. And yeah, so besides that, no one else really follows that page. Get on
Well,
there,
look,
guys, and follow me.
yeah, absolutely. Look, if you get sick of all this movie nonsense, you want to get involved with something important, go give Jess a follow on It's Kind
That's
to
so
Clean.
sweet.
Um, go check it out and give her a like and a follow and support the cause.
Oh, thank you guys, and thank you, James.
If you'd like to follow me and you want to keep listening to this nonsense, head over to Instagram. I was a teenage film snob, underscores between every single word. I've been posting a little bit less frequently lately just because I was in recovery. I don't know if I mentioned it 400 times, but I had my teeth out. Um, but I am getting more active again. I'm posting more. I'm doing stories and Q and A's and stuff. I haven't done many Q and A's, but I will be doing more. The show will be more regular now. I've got some great stuff coming up. I've been in touch with I can't talk about it yet, but a very very cool guest. I'm still trying to lock it in, and I contacted her again today, but I'm hoping we can get something going. And I may have another cool guest. I had just like Jess had someone cool follow her recently.
Mm.
I had someone cool follow me today, so I'm hoping to set something up there as well. But even if those things don't work out, all of your regular favorites are coming up again soon. I've got Gabby coming back. I've got Dave and Liz coming back. I will have Michael and the boys from Midnight Terrors coming back. A lot of things on the horizon, and we'll be wrapping up our Apocalypse series very soon. So keep an eye out for all of that. Um, if you would like to support the show and spend some money, I don't make any money off it, but you can get a fantastic t-shirt from tpublic.com. Just search for I Was a Teenage Film Snob or check out the links on my page. Um, they're very comfortable t-shirts. I'm not wearing it right now, but it is gorgeous. Art designed by my friend Josh. And that will pretty much do it. So thanks again to Jess for coming on the show. She was fantastic. Um, and as I say to you every single time, guys, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better. I'll see you next week.